Welcome, gamers, to Basement Arcade Pause Menu Quarterly Edition. I am your host, Ben Magnan, alongside with my bros, Sparks, Witty, and Ryan Eliopoulos, where we sit down and talk about some of the big news, stuff we're excited for from the past quarter. Quarter meaning like the past 3 months, meaning July, August, and September. And we're actually doing a quarter one this time, because the first time we did this, our quarterly turned into a half-yearly?
Biannually?
Two quarters.
Yeah,
50 cents.
Yeah, 50 cents. Yeah. So, bros, how's it going? How you been?
Man, I'm doing pretty good. I've played so many video games. I can't wait to talk about all of them. Some of them multiplayer, some of them single player, some of them old, some of them new.
I'm so excited to hear you talk about it. I have played mostly one game, and I'm excited to talk about that.
It's a game we've all played, though, so
yeah,
that's nice.
Yeah.
I have also played 2 games, mostly, and I played a little bit of a third, and then I went somewhere that made me buy a few other games that I'm really excited to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, since we are recording this in October, I have to save that for the next quarterly. But because, Portland Retro Gaming Expo, like as of this recording, this is the week I just came back from, because the past weekend was Portland Retro Gaming Expo. I'm definitely going to talk about it on regular Basement Arcade Pause Menu episodes that are coming up in the future. I have so many shows lined up. It is like, yay!
Woo. Love to hear it.
It is a great time for Basement Arcade Pause Menu, let me tell you that.
Hell yeah.
But let's first talk about the games we have been playing. Let's go with Sparks.
Let's start with news articles.
That's right. Let's start with That's right. We were talking about news articles. Damn it.
That's okay, Ben. We're trying new stuff. We're seeing how it feels.
We don't do this weekly.
No, we don't. We do this like literally every 3 months. All right, so yeah, news articles. What big news articles do you guys want to talk about first? Let's go with Sparks.
Yeah, I've only got one. I just wanted to talk about, like, at the end of August, there was the announcement that Sony was raising the price of PlayStation 5s in European, Japanese, and Australian markets. And this went pretty under the radar, even by American standards. Like we mentioned that that Waypoint had talked about it for like a single episode. But even like Patrick Klepek over there was talking about, like, this is just, it's an insane moment just because you can understand all the circumstances around it that Sony's been talking about. There are things where they're saying, like, this is because their Q1 earnings were bad, and even then they have the, like, they are judging themselves on a scale, and they've acknowledged it themselves. They are doing this where they're looking at the ratings, but they're judging the ratings based off last year. Mm-hmm. And last year, everybody was playing games, and everybody was buying consoles and buying games. And so they were making hand over fist more than they usually would in a normal year these past 2.
Yeah.
And so now they're looking at the numbers, and the numbers have gone so low that the company is kind of in a panic over the earnings drop off. So even if as it's justifiable when you consider, like, COVID and people being shut in and now having to go back to work and not having as much time to play games or the indulgences of being able to buy a console and that kind of thing. Plus the difficulty in still getting the consoles because of the resources that are going around, again, because of the pandemic, also the inflation that is happening globally. We're getting it pretty bad here in the States, but, like, in general, it's happening everywhere. All of these have factored into why they said, okay, so we're going to raise it 10% in these locations. But it's just such a wild moment because new consoles don't normally do this. Mm-hmm. New consoles like a PlayStation 5, which doesn't need any help telling people, like, people want it. They are selling. It's purely we're not making as much money as we want to. So the price increase is just like, it's just a weird moment. We've never really had this before where one of the major consoles has had to say a year out from its release, yo, we're taking it up a notch.
I just looked at sales because I didn't know what we were at. Mm-hmm. And the PS5 has sold about 24 million consoles. It is right in line with how much the PS2 sold. And the PS2 is one of the highest selling consoles of all time. People are buying the PS5, at least in America. And
I think that's also part of why there's been mixed response about this move, because while it's understandable that Sony wants to make more money at a time when they feel like this does feel like it's purely for the company is feeling the squeeze from the drop off of not making as much as they did the past 2 years, and not really from a sense of consumers not wanting to engage with the products.
Yeah.
And because everybody's being choked by inflation, it does feel like, okay, kind of sucks.
Also, like, in the last few years, Sony, especially with their current lead, remakes and remasters are a big thing, and like they sell pretty well. But like, you have The Last of Us come out, and that is a relatively new game, and they want you to spend $70 on it, and that's a big ask for a lot of people. And there's now the rumors that they want to do that with Horizon, which is a 5-year-old game. There's a PS5 version you could play of that game, and they want to sell that to you for $70 more. I'm like, you're asking a lot from your customer base too.
That's a good point, because again, like, you jump back to like the encouragement to buy a PS5, where it's like, yo, you got a PS4 copy of the game, boom, that shit's PS5 automatic upgrade, baby.
It's been really nice.
And we're kind of starting to see that roll back a bit, where if for older games now, you want the PS5 edition, they're going to be like, yo, we're going to tweak things up a bit and then sell you a brand new level price game, which is...
There's two circumstances of this exact situation. One, you get a Cyberpunk,
right,
where you get a game that does not run on older software. That game is almost just like, it's in good shape now, but that game was unplayable at launch on a PS4 because it's 8-year-old software. Or you have Gotham Knights, which is a brand new game, and they had to cancel the old school versions because it just they couldn't release a game in that state. But that game is also only 30 frames per second, and it is limited and has such technical issues. I'm like, they have to figure out the tech first, and it's like they're at that weird spot between the PS4 and PS5.
Yeah.
That I think PS5 is a lot of money. Mm-hmm. Asking someone to spend $500 on a console is a lot of money, especially in a pandemic right now. So like, if you're increasing the prices across the world, that's crazy to me.
Yeah.
That seems like so many bad decisions seem to be happening all at once.
And we talked off air why we don't think this is happening in the States. I do think it's mostly we would create more of a fuss about it than most people. And they wanted to keep it as under the radar and undiscussed as possible that they had to do this, or felt they had to do this. But I do think like also part of it is, as people have brought up, is that we are in this weird space between the PS5 and PS4 where not everybody can get a PS5, but yet the market is because of technology, we are being pushed slowly further and closer to, you kind of have to if you want any new stuff.
Yeah.
And that kind of engagement is really hard to have people pushing a price increase at the same time on. Again, because like the consumers are there. It's not like the consumers aren't showing up wanting to buy this product.
We got lucky. We all have PS5s.
Right.
But we fought for that. You know, we waited in the digital lines. Like, we really wanted it. And it's like, you have to want it.
We schemed ordering it from different locations outside of our zip code.
100%. Like, we did what we had to do because, like, it's hard to get one.
You guys schemed. I got straight up damn lucky because my girlfriend was able to get my PS5 thanks to a friend of hers, and he only charged her an extra $150 for it as a finder's fee.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, if you think about it, because when she gave me the PS5, it was at the height of its popularity.
Like last year, right?
Yeah, it was. This year. This past February.
Oh, February.
Yeah,
okay.
This year. Yeah. But even Sparks, because you were saying about this, you guys know I have a lot of friends on Twitter who live overseas, who live in England and Australia and such and such. When this price hike was announced for their regions, they were not happy, especially the ones who did not currently own a PS5. And to be honest, the news also struck me as completely odd. How come the rest of the world, besides America, gets this price hike? I mean, part of me wants to try and say I get it. The PS5 is a console that so many people want. So many people online on social media vehemently complain about how hard it is to get a system, how hard it is to buy this damn thing. And I mean, also, we're still in the middle of a pandemic. The world is an absolute mess right now. There's so many things that are uncertain, and it's like, okay, I understand. Like, trying to get the components for it is hard.
Yeah.
Trying to get it shipped out is hard, and all this thing. Part of me wants to, say I understand, but at the exact same time, this just feels like, what the hell are you doing, Sony? Because a lot of things that Sony has done, it's the same with Nintendo. Nintendo and Sony have taken like a step forward, but they also taken 2 steps back in a way.
Yeah.
And because even then, you guys were talking about how it's like games can be PS3, PS5 upgrade. I subscribed, or I paid an extra $30 more to get them like the highest tier level of PlayStation Plus. And Final Fantasy VII Intergrade PS5 version was completely free for me. And it's like, hey, here's an option to transfer your save data from your PS4 version to the PS5. I'm like, oh well, hell yeah, of
Hell
course
yeah.
I'm gonna do that. And I even checked, like I turned on the game, integrator was right there. I'm like, cool. The second I transferred my save data over, they charged me $15 to play UP Story,
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
and I'm just like, well, this is bull crap.
That's wild. That's so weird.
Yeah, because I downloaded the free PS5 digital version of Final Fantasy VII Remake, and like when I downloaded it, UP Story was ready to go. It was installed. I'm like, what the hell? Do I really have to shell out $15? Unfortunately, I did. I am part of the problem. I know, but at the same time, it's like I paid all this money and I bought the game. I bought the deluxe version of the game, and you're still charging me extra $15 to play UP Story, even though you just literally offered it to me for free.
Well, that is a situation of just the PlayStation Xbox Game Pass version just not being up to snuff, up to par.
Mhm.
I think that what they've launched is pretty cool. It's still got a long way to go before before like I want to buy it.
Also like they like Sony has been notorious for having more bugs in the upgrade from PS4 to PS5 transition than the Xbox did.
Mhm.
They just have like that's been all over the place. I think we're also part of the reaction to all this comes from like we are in a little bit of a lull, and it's understandable, but we are in a lull. Like I know Nextlanders talked about it a lot, like how many big games were coming out this year. A lot of them got pushed back because of the pandemic.
Yep.
Understandable. We want games delayed if they're not ready.
Word.
I'm not blaming anybody for that. I think that's absolutely right. But we're also seeing like the back end of the pandemic stuff too, where people are being asked to pay more for this console. That is there even a true PS5 made game on that console yet?
I mean, yeah, but like we're still early. It's still early on.
Yeah.
It's still early on.
I would say Demon Souls. That's a true PS5 made
There,
game.
there are a couple, yeah. I'm looking at where the price hike happened around the world. Y'all, it's literally everywhere but America.
Mhm.
It's in Europe, UK, Japan, China, Australia, Mexico, Canada, not US.
Right.
That's the entire world but us. Like, what?
Yeah.
Why? I wouldn't, like, I have mine, so I wouldn't have minded a price hike because, I got mine. But, like, if they're struggling, why not just do everybody? That seems really weird that it's not America now.
So here was the other shitty thing. People were given 2 days notice.
That's kind of
like everyone in these markets were told, hey, in 2 days the price of the PS5 is going up, so get your very hard to find console now. Because the price is about to increase. And like if we were in that point, or Ben, I think Ben was the last of the 4 fake nerds to get his. So like if Ben were still at that point and then this had happened, if it had happened in the States, that would have felt really shitty. So I understand where like everyone else in the rest of the markets who's been like anticipating like, hey, you finally got your shot, but now it's more expensive 2 years later.
And again, this has never happened before.
No.
Like consoles get cheaper as time goes by. That's how it happens.
Not more expensive.
But
and it is just a 10% price increase, but it's still wild. It's
for a $500 console. That's a lot of money.
Yes, exactly.
That's $50.
It's $50.
I was friend of the show, Gamers Donnie G Retro, and the people over at Gamers Week podcast, when they were talking about this news hike a little while ago when it happened, and they were saying that this is of course we've said it before, it's unprecedented, but also it honestly just makes no sense, because they were talking about how back in the 90s when Tom Kalinske took over as CEO of Sega of America, he slashed the Genesis price about $100, and it's like, because prices for these consoles, they're supposed to go down.
Yeah.
And the second you slash a price, you see an uptick in console sales, because then other like makers like back in the day, Nintendo realized, oh, Sega's dropping their price. Well, we gotta drop the price of the Super Nintendo then. And then it's just a constant price war. Like I remember when the PS3 was slashed to $299, and they made a big deal, and that was a big deal. The PlayStation 3, $300.
Yeah, it started at $600, the biggest mistake they've ever made.
Exactly. And then it's like, holy crap, $300 for a PS3, and you get all these games and all this awesome stuff. Hell yeah. Even I was begging, kind of asking my parents, is like, so PS3, can I get that now?
Yeah, and we talked about it briefly, but like the pandemic really is the reason for this, because like they can't make PS5s fast enough to sell to everybody. So like those parts that they need, they're not getting any cheaper. And unlike, like current all the generations where, years go by and then those resources become easier to get, they're not getting easier, they're getting harder to get. So like it sucks that this is where we're at.
No, if it wasn't for Fanny, I would probably not have a PS5 right now.
Mm-hmm.
I would probably still be playing with my PS4, because because my mindset going into this year was after my Europe trip, I would start saving and working my way to buy a PS5. And if this price hike affected America, I don't know if I actually would get to get a PS5. Maybe I get a PS5 when the PS5 Pro, or if this is just me speculating.
Yeah,
If
it's happening.
yeah, like if a PS5 Pro becomes available and then they drop the price hike of a standard PS5, I just probably say screw it, I'm just gonna get the regular PS5 then.
So I think that the other interesting thing is like, you know, with the pandemic and the way that it was happening is there was a lot of encouragement like, hey, if you've got your PS4, you want to go buy a PS4 right now, that's totally great. Like this is a totally great time to do that.
Yeah.
Go do it. We are going to cater to you. And I feel like this is the first motion of like, we're not going to do that anymore. Like we're about to stop catering to you. Also like bump up that price.
That's the doubly shitty thing is
yes.
like I'm a futurist. I'm always like you need to progress, you need to advance technology or else we'll never get better. Like I'm a fan of that. But also if you can't buy the console, you can't leave the people who are in the past, you can't leave them behind if they can't buy the console.
Yes.
That's just not fair.
So Sony attributes its struggles with the price hike to a variety of factors. The inflation is the first and biggest one, but also adverse currency trends in quotations, whatever that means. And
scalpers maybe,
and macroeconomic pressures that have begun to affect video game spending and industry growth. They also highlight Sony's stock is down more than 30% this year compared to the previous year.
Damn, God of War's about to come out though.
Their year-over-year decline in software sales of 26%. Again, compared to 2020 and 2021, when everybody was buying a console, A, because the PS5 just came out, but also because they were at home and they were buying a lot of PS4s. And the PS4s are factoring into this number. Mm-hmm. They aren't just looking at the software sales of PS5s. They are looking at the software sales of PS4s and saying, why aren't we selling as many consoles, PS4 included, as we were last year? And the answer is obviously an inflation and people going back to work.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of why this is shitty. Anyway, that's weird news item.
And console generations, like every console generation lasts longer and longer. They used to last like 5 years before you get a new console. Now we're going up to 10. Like the PS4 is going to be 10 years old in 2 years. And like they're still releasing games for it,
and still a good console.
And it absolutely. And we are at the point in technology now where a good-looking PS4 game is still looks incredible, right? Because like Last of Us Remastered, like that, or Last of Us 2, that is or Red Dead Redemption 2. They're still incredible-looking games that haven't been transferred yet. So like
the original God of War.
Every God of War came out like God of War 2 came out like a month before the PS3 came out. It came out on the PS2 a month before the PS3 came out, and that game is incredible.
Yeah.
I am always someone who's looking for the future, but like in this specific stance, like if you can't get the console to the people, like don't shit on them. Don't not release a Gotham Knights on PS4, because I mean now look at the state.
Yeah,
of the game,
it just feels like kind of a shitty way to engage with the consumer market that wants to support you at a time when it's difficult for all consumers around the world to support anybody because price gouging is going on everywhere.
And it is.
And I look at Microsoft real quick, man. I look at Microsoft, and again, they're not they're all proprietary. Like Microsoft is a PC, the Xbox is a PC. It is very easy for Xbox stuff to work on the newest Xbox stuff from 20 years ago because it's the same PC. That's what Microsoft has that in the back for 20 years, and they have that shit figured out. I can play old games and new games on my old Xbox, and with the internet connection I have with cloud gaming, I can play that stuff. That's this shit, and it looks like a PS5 game, but I have to have good internet. But like Xbox is very forward thinking in that way, and I'm just like, PlayStation, you'll get there. You'll be there one day.
Yeah. But funny enough, talking about, I know this is like this quarter, like the October quarter, because Sony and Microsoft, they're kind of like going back and forth about the whole buyout of Activision Blizzard.
Yeah.
Which that happened, and Microsoft straight up says like, Sony, you're too big to fail. You guys are winning in the console wars. You're winning. More people want a PlayStation than an Xbox. So it's actually kind of funny to look at that. But I had a point console lifespan. To be perfectly honest with you, Ryan, I'm actually glad that consoles, their lifespans are longer because to be perfectly honest with you, we are at, I feel like the performance for consoles is as high as it's gonna get for a good long while. Like if you look at the jump from like say 16-bit to 32-bit from the NES to the N64, that was a leap. That was a leap. And there are times where I'm looking at PS5s. I mean, yes, there are times where like it looks a little crisper, it looks a little cleaner, but other than that, I see really no difference.
See, here's the thing, Ben. It's not about graphics. It's not just about graphics. It's about processing power. It's about how much you can put on screen. It doesn't matter. Like, the best PS4 graphically looking game is not considerably less than what the PS5 looks like. It's how much you can do with it. It's how much you can put on screen. The reason Gotham Knights looks like shit is because it's trying to do so much, and like on the PS4 it can't even run. That's why Cyberpunk couldn't even run. It's trying to do so much. You cannot play Cyberpunk on a PS4. There is not enough memory. There's not enough RAM. There's not enough data for it to try to do what it's trying to do. Right. So like, graphics might be at the pinnacle. We can always be higher. I play a lot of PC strategy games where there are thousands of units on screen at once. You're telling me that in the future that's not going to look better? Nah, baby. In the future, that's going to be the future where every one of those mini units looks like a 4K unit, where there are thousands of units on screen and it looks like I'm watching a Spider-Man movie. That's the future. It's not just about how good the game looks, it's about how much processing power it is. Because I play Total Warhammer and my computer cannot run it because my computer is old. And like, it chugs, but with like better processing power, it looks like there's 1,000 Spider-Mans on screen, like beautifully animated. Like, the future, in terms of games, it could always be better. It will always be better because it's not just about how it looks.
Okay.
Yeah.
As a last note on like this whole PlayStation situation, just kind of this does have me not concerned. That's not the word I want, but just curious, I guess, that how Sony's going to handle their earnings from the end of this year with them having added their version of Game Pass, and whether they think that's kind of filled the hole that they're seeing in their rate earnings decline or
also,
not.
To add to that, there are a couple games coming out this year, at the end of this year, that are the biggest games that they will ever release. That we'll be talking about. So like this year, their earnings might not be as high. That's because they haven't released the biggest game of the decade.
Right.
Like,
they are banking on that for sure.
Yeah.
That's even mentioned in like the articles discussing their earnings call, that they are banking on like the holiday season and the sales of the games that they are anticipating to release. But I do think like, just like anywhere that is making their own streaming service at this point, or looking at the sales of Game Pass, they are wondering, did we hand over fist increase profits for what we felt we put out? I don't want to say work. What we felt we put out as a product for that Game Pass equivalent of what they're doing. And to me, I don't get it. I won't be getting it because there's nothing there that I find is worth the price that they are charging.
The thing that kind of bites them in the ass, like PlayStation, like they're known for like, Xbox has exclusives, right? But like PlayStation, like they are the exclusive console, right? They want you to buy those games, right? So if you're a PlayStation person, you probably already have bought those games. You own the Uncharted games. You own The Last of Us, stuff like that. So like, I own all these games that they're trying to give me for free through the subscription service. Right. Like, it's I own half the games. Like, I get Spider-Man if I pay $20 extra a month, bro. I've had Spider-Man. I think
it is in some ways a new generation trap. You know, those who are maybe just cresting into high school or that kind of thing get these consoles. They are in on the new games, and so like you're a new gamer. Here's an easy way for you to get an experience with all these classics and things like that. It does make sense that they grow up in the streaming service. They grow up in this being the way that you consume content and engage with it. I think that is the audience they're gravitating towards. I just don't know that audience is large enough or financially available enough to be meeting them where they want them to.
Yeah, it's the thing where like the PlayStation, like,
you're right, it's not for us who have had PlayStations for decades.
PlayStation fans, like when the new Uncharted comes out, like Uncharted is like the highest selling game of the year, right? So like most people haven't played Uncharted by the time it will hit the streaming service, because that's the PlayStation ecosystem. It's like, we're about exclusives, right? Like Xbox, like everybody plays Halo. Everybody loves Halo. Anybody can play Halo. Not everybody can play Uncharted.
Right.
Well, now it's coming to PC.
Until it comes to Steam,
Sony's being real good about that. Those Spider-Man mods are so good.
There's a part of me that hopefully wants, like very optimistically wants to believe that this is how we actually get like our old PlayStation games back, is that they don't try to run it on the PlayStation 5 anymore, but they do make it available for computers. These old exclusive titles because then people can make them actually run the way they're supposed to. They can look good. They can run on a computer completely fine.
That's the biggest thing too, is like, because again, Xbox, it's like its own ecosystem. Like old games run better than they used to run. PS5, like those games run like shit.
Right.
And I'm like, how is this the world we live in where the games run worse than they used to?
I'm optimistic that could happen because like 2 years ago we would have said that Sony never would have let any of their games go to a PC.
That's true.
And now here we are, and they have. And so like maybe one day.
Hopefully.
I think that they see more. They will ultimately see more potential in the sales of selling those games on a PC market than Nintendo seems to in making their old titles available. I think Sony's more fiscally aware than Nintendo is in that regard. It wouldn't surprise me if that's ultimately where we go.
Yeah, and I will say one other thing. I am that very small percentage of people who never played Uncharted, who doesn't have The Last of Us until I got it for free on PlayStation. I downloaded it for free. And I am that one person who's like, I mean, I probably will keep up with the higher tier of PlayStation Plus, because I was even looking through the library the other day and I was like, man, there's a lot of pretty damn good titles on here that I have not experienced.
Yeah.
And even though I did download the Uncharted games for free, and for me, just having that available in my library is like cool. But at the same time, I feel like I'm also going through like the Netflix effect where you just constantly scroll. It's like, oh, I have nothing. It's like, what do I want to watch? And you have the giant abundance of choice, and it overwhelms you.
Yeah.
That was when, and even it's the same with Nintendo too. Even with their with the NSO, there's a giant, or not a giant, but there is an abundance of choice, and it's like, oh god, what do I do?
Game Pass, like oh
my god,
the amount of games I play, guys, the amount of games I play and I don't talk about, like I'll play a new game every week for like 45 minutes just because I can. Because with cloud gaming and with Xbox, now that I live right next to a router, so my internet's really good, I can pop into any game. It's not even downloaded. It's instantly streamed. It looks great most of the time. Sometimes it gets a little wonky. But hundreds of games. The entire catalog of games you'd want. Every game in a franchise you'd want. All the Halos, all the Gears, everything. And I'm just like, I'll try this. Yeah, it's okay. I'll pop it off. And it's like, hey, you paid us $10 a month. Play as much as you want. Play as little as you want. Like, it's the dream, man. It's so good.
Yeah.
And every single day, I'm not joking, I load it up and it's like, here's something new on Game Pass. Like every single day, I'm like, this is impossible. How does this work? But it does. Like it totally works. Mm-hmm. It's making so much money.
I have so when my brother gave me his PS Vita, he also had a copy of the original Gravity Rush for the PS Vita.
Yeah, it's a good game.
And then I look on the PlayStation Store, and because I have the highest tier, it's like Gravity Rush Remastered for the PS5. Do you want to download it? I'm like, sure, why not? I just hit download, and it's on my hard drive, ready to go. And I'm like, man, this is cool.
So
this is great.
We don't have actual real numbers, but Sony has released a lot of their big games on PC. Horizon has sold almost 3 million copies on PC, which is insane. Spider-Man was the highest selling game on Steam for a little bit. That's a 4-year-old game. God of War was the highest selling game for a month on Steam. So like, they're making their money.
Yeah,
they're making their money. It's like, I guess it's not enough for them.
They most certainly are, but honestly, Sony, you're not going to make me spend $70 to buy Horizon Zero Dawn again, because I got that for free during the State of Play, and I'm totally okay with PS4. I'm totally fine with the PS4 edition being on my PS5. I
do not want to believe that rumor, but I also didn't believe the Last of Us rumor, and that's very real. So like this one is because there's a TV show coming out. Netflix is making a Horizon TV show, a big budget show, and they want that thing to coincide with the game. And they're like, hey, we'll remake that game we just made. We'll spend millions of dollars.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, even with these exclusives, and I have both Horizon and The Last of Us for free. I got them for free through the PlayStation.
You don't want to spend $70, man?
No, and also I haven't even touched them. I haven't played them. And people keep telling me, it's like, how great. It's like, yeah, I'll probably play Horizon eventually. But then I look over to my shelf and go, but Elden Ring.
Yeah, that's true.
That's basically been all year.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, it has been me all year. The only game, I mean, we'll talk about it later, but it's like,
really?
Oh, but Elden Ring. And then it's like, oh, but Cult of the Lamb.
Man. Really want Darth Vader in Fortnite, but Elden Ring.
Yeah. Anyways, so are we done talking?
Yes, I'm done with that news item. That was a good conversation, though.
That was
Thanks,
a lovely
guys.
conversation.
All right, Ryan, what news item do you have?
So, if you can go, Ben, because my news item leads directly into what I've been playing. Because I'm spoilers. I'm going to be talking about Cyberpunk and then every announcement they made. So that will lead into the news.
Okay, I have two things, but the first one is one item is at the very beginning of the quarter, and then the second is near the end of it. So I'll do my first one. First one is more of a It's more of is like me just looking and going, really? And also just like munching on popcorn and waiting to watch it burn. And that's the first ever NFT console.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm glad you put this in the news.
Yeah. So this is from Nintendo Life, and this came out way back in actually on the 4th of July, funny enough. And it's Polium. The console is called Polium, which is a Web3 company has an idea of a console. And the logo of the console already got a huge backlash because it's very GameCube-esque. And I think that and they're calling the console the Polium 1, a multi-chain console for Web3 gaming. And guys, this thing is probably going to crash and burn.
Oh yeah.
Well, so it's wild because
It looks like an Ouya.
when I woke up this morning, I saw the news going around that WB Warner Brothers has announced that they're releasing The Lord of the Rings: The Fellowship of the Ring as all as NFTs.
Oh, did you see this
to start their NFT movieverse? And the thing I thought is that I felt like 4 or 5 months ago, the general public seemed to agree that, you know what, we've all come around and realized that this was bullshit.
Yep.
And companies haven't caught up yet.
Nope.
And so like they're still behind and still thinking they're catering to a market that I don't think exists actually anymore. And it's good. Yes, I agree with you, Ben. I think this will crash and burn. I think every other NFT thing going forward is probably going to crash and burn because at this point, it's all the people who know it's a scam trying to make profit off the fact that they know it's a scam. Yeah, and people aren't falling for it anymore.
I'm on their website, and it's not going to be ready to launch until maybe 2024. So it's a scam.
That thing will die.
That's a scam.
Yeah, that thing's going to die on the vine. Not only that, because even when this first came out, they're saying in order to have this console, you have to have a cryptocurrency wallet.
Nope.
You could use cryptocurrencies and all this other stuff. Anytime, and pretty much this is the year of me learning about NFTs, me hating on NFTs, and me swearing to the heavens that if you do anything with NFTs, I am either going to block you or I'm never going to respond on Twitter at all, because I hate NFTs with a burning passion. And while other people are realizing, hey, NFTs are not good. Like, look at Ubisoft. Ubisoft had this huge push of NFTs, and that crashed and burned hardcore.
Oh, yeah.
Konami also was trying to do NFTs. Konami's freaking Castlevania anniversary was like, oh, we're going to do NFTs. People were like, NFT bad. But then some dumb idiots bought a few. And so like, but we made money. It's like, but did you, though?
There's on Twitter, there was a video of a Web3 video game, a Web3 game. It's like... and it just looks like the most generic first-person shooter of all time. And the people in the comments were like, "Man, if all the Web3 games look like this and the future is real," and everyone's just like, "Bro, this looks like shit."
That's the place where you go to play the games that they clearly like made for like 10 seconds in a movie or a TV show where they can't license any real games, so they just made a quick thing. That's if you want to play those kinds of games, that's where
reminds
me
of Breaking Bad. And they were playing a game with like a motion controller that didn't have motion controls, and I'm just like, real gamers, pro gamers.
I always think about real quick. Sorry, Ben. I always think about how like on the Warner Brothers show, the OC. Two of the guys would constantly be playing Dynasty Warriors, but every once in a while they would show the split screen gameplay, but only one of them would be playing. It's like, come on, guys, it's gamers. Not that hard.
Pro gamers.
Programmers. But not only that, just like continuing on with my rant, like Square Enix, thank God Final Fantasy 16 so far as we know, has nothing to do with NFTs. But because the head of the company, because that New Year's letter is still ringing in my ears about the CEO saying like, no, we're going to move forward the blockchain because NFTs are good. If you were to buy a Final Fantasy VII figurine, there's I think a few figurines that Square is making to celebrate Final Fantasy VII's 25th anniversary. You buy one of those figurines, they automatically come with a code for you to get an NFT right off the bat. And I hate that. Yeah. And it's like, it's still there. It's like people want these figurines. These are some gorgeous figurines. Square actually put in the effort to make these things as beautiful and as gorgeous as they humanly possibly can. But god damn it, there's no option to not get the stupid NFT. So it's like, I want this figure, but I don't want to support the NFT portion of it.
Also,
it's bullshit.
It's not a real figure, it's a digital figure. Mm-hmm. So again, it's not like, ooh, I'm going to look at this 3D figure.
And here's the thing, you get the physical figurine.
Oh, you do?
You get you get a physical thing. That's
Yeah,
the
it's
thing
one
about
of the
it. You
it's
buy
one of the
something
things where they
physical.
think. Sorry, Ben. I'm stepping on your point. You go ahead.
No, that's the problem with it. You buy something physical, tangible, real. You like it's kind of like if I were to get my low poly chase figure of Cloud in the dress from the first disc of
I just did
FF7.
that. I just did that in FF7 remake. I fought a haunted house too.
I know, pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
But that's beside the point. It's like if I were to buy this. This is a blind box figurine, and this came with the NFT of this thing. It's like, why do I need the fucking NFT of this when I actually have the physical, tangible object that could sit on my desk and look pretty for all
Well,
eternity?
see, Ben. The thing about non-fungible tokens is it's art that you own through the blockchain. You see.
I normally we don't try to swear on positive, but I'm throwing that to the wind. Get fucked.
No, yeah, no, yeah. NFTs have. They're gonna keep trying. It's not gonna work.
The Fellowship of the Ring one is sorry, I know it's not game related, but the Fellowship of the Ring one I saw this morning really confused me because I'm like, you can't own that. So how does that work?
I think it's gonna be like scenes, like they're dropping scene by
Yes,
scene.
they're dropping the entire movie in pieces. Yes.
Yeah. So like you're gonna
But you
spend
can't own
$10,000. You can own the digital verification of that scene online. You can.
I guess that's not real though.
But
No.
no, but for Warner Brothers and the people buying it through them, it is.
Yeah, sure.
I actually own an actual scene from Lord of the Rings, digitally online.
And I'm sorry, but I have the Blu-ray extended edition in my room.
We got the 4K. We got the 4K.
I was gonna say I've got the 4K, and something that does make sense is when I bought the 4K, I also got the digital codes for the 4K. So I have both those things, and the NFTs won't stop it. This is the thing where like I don't, especially with video game stuff, I'm like makes no goddamn sense.
I don't know if Zaslav was involved with the Warner Brothers Lord of the Rings thing, but it feels like it.
Here's the thing.
It feels
I will say if any market made sense for NFTs, it was the video game market. I did understand to some extent the idea that you could purchase. I wouldn't do it. I don't like it. But I did understand the idea that, let's say in Fortnite, I could purchase, I'm just using that as an example. They didn't do it. Thank God. I don't think they ever will. But I could purchase an NFT that gave me a cosmetic that was singularly mine. It's a special thing for me.
Yeah.
When I play the game, that thing shows up. I understand that concept at least.
Yeah.
That feels like something that's actually tangibly engaging with. I don't want them to do that, but I at least get it, and the market makes sense for that. But there's been so little use of that makes any good sense that the whole thing just needs to fall apart. I hate it.
I know the second this NFT console was announced, I feel that because you guys know I also listen to the Completely Unnecessary podcast. I also listen to a few other shows where this console came up and it was talked about, and it's just laughable. And just even looking at other, like, I understand making a console is hard, and for those creators who do want to make a video game console, who do want to do certain things with it, hey, I think this would be a great way to play. I say go for it. But then when you do shit like NFTs or looking at the Amico, because that thing is definitely dead in the water. If you just like go out and just like attack people criticizing your console, and still constantly have to make up excuses of why the thing isn't released yet, it's just like you're just in the market to try and steal as much money as humanly possible under the guise of either hardcore nostalgia trap for a niche of a niche of a niche of a niche Amico, or you're just trying to top on like the new thing. When I want to say when this was released a few weeks prior, the crypto market crashed like 90%.
Yep.
Agree.
Yep.
So at the same time, it's not financially feasible or financially responsible to even go through with a console like this. Well, especially when a majority of video gamers today, you tell them what an NFT is, their response is, "Oh, hell no." And maybe you get a few people, a few whales, if you will.
Yes,
whale
that's what it
term
is.
of like the one person to like throw thousands of dollars. That's how a bunch of these free-to-play mobile games stay afloat, is because you get that one person who is willing to spend tens of thousands of dollars to get that to be the top tier character. But even then, that well is going to dry up. Especially, it's dumb. It's really dumb. It's stupid. And
Ben, you hit the nail on the head right there. It's especially with these NFT type games. They don't need 1 million players. They need 3 whales who will pay $50,000 for one NFT. This is like the ultimate scam. This is the ultimate scam because like they do the promise of what Sparks said of like, oh, I get my own in-game thing that is mine, but it's not really. And you're spending a house worth of money, a car's worth of money to own it when you don't really own it.
I never on here, but on our regular podcast, I've talked about an anime called Odd Taxi, which I highly encourage anybody to watch. But I'm going to tell you a little thing about Odd Taxi real quick. There's a bit character in it who like has almost an entire episode devoted to like his story. And his story is basically that he kind of was like a loner character. And a new like mobile game came out, which is like a matching animals kind of game, but you unlock specific animals, but like you can pay to unlock specific animals. Well, he really wanted one, just one. It's like a shiny hippo kind of thing. And he literally becomes homeless. like that's ultimately his arc. It's like he gets so obsessed with the gambling of this game. And like there's a tragic like family backstory to like why it's so important to him and all this kind of stuff, which is actually really good. But like he literally becomes homeless. And it's just such a powerful little framed representation of like how pervasively disgustingly predatory these systems are. Highly recommend watching for that.
To add another thing to that, Sparks, what you just said reminded me of the time when I was really into Disney Emoji Blitz, and I paid $5 to try and get the Sora emoji, but instead ended up with the Aqua one.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
because they gave you that so that one was really sneaky. Disney Emoji Blitz is really sneaky, and here's the reason why, Ryan, in case you don't know.
I don't.
Disney Emoji Blitz, the reason why it really gets you is because any character that you unlock in the game, you can use their emojis in your conversations in your texts. So if you get the character, you can use them in your text conversations.
I would have played that game all right.
Right, exactly. so Ben and myself, we both did this, tried to get Sora and then they add like Halloween Sora and things like that. Because if you get him, you can put him in your text conversations.
That would have ruined me. That would have ruined me.
It's a very, very sneaky, but like at least that made it like more worthwhile, right? Because like you're like, oh, it's giving me something even more than just what the game gives me. It's
and
giving me something
it's
to
an actual
use it.
Product to use.
Yes, exactly. Very, very crafty.
Like between a text thread between the two of us, I just sent you the Sorcerer Mickey emoji that I actually worked for. Because there is a way where you can get these emojis where you don't have to constantly pay for it, because there is a way, but it takes time. It takes a lot of effort.
Yes.
Thankfully with Sora, I was able to do it. And of course, I think we were actually, Sparks, we were driving in, me and Fanny were in your car driving home when I finally earned it.
I very clearly remember
because
that.
it was either Sorcerer Mickey or King Triton, and Fanny, of course, had to do this thing of like, hey, what if like right before I pushed the redeem button, because I didn't pay any money for Sorcerer Mickey. That's the one thing I'm happy. I earned that.
Sure.
And Fanny, of course, looks at me and says, hey, wouldn't it be funny if you get Triton instead?
Yeah.
Don't you put that name on me, Ricky Bobby.
This is like we talk about it all the time in all kinds of places, like the way that these systems are evolving and how they're Fortnite and other kinds of games, how they try to get you to spend money and like where the line is. And one of the things we'll praise Multiverses, I think, forever for is that like I never have to pay to unlock a character. Not a character. I have to pay to unlock a lot of other things, but never a character. Characters are always available to be unlocked just by playing the game, and it's not hard. It is not hard to earn the characters in the game. And I don't think enough of these services or games, or especially mobile games, make the path of earning reasonable. I think Mirrorverse, which is another game I'll touch on, Mirrorverse is actually very good at the earning. I don't feel like I need to pay anything. I've never paid anything for Mirrorverse.
Yeah, same.
And I've earned most of the characters at this point just by playing the game. And that still plays really well. And so I think, hopefully that line continues to fine tune over time, but like the line between that and gambling and how easy it is to fall into it, especially for younger audiences who don't know better, is really always has been really
Yeah, I would say with games, even with other live service games like Fortnite, if you do have to pay to get the good stuff, like the really good characters, but there are a bunch of free things that are just given to you right out the gate, and I do think that's good. But also those are all. But the thing about Fortnite is that they are just cosmetics.
Yes.
They are absolutely cosmetics. Like if you see someone with Darth Vader, that person. Yes, they had to pay to earn the right to unlock Darth Vader, but they also put in the work to unlock Darth Vader. It's not just I paid X amount of dollars.
Well, you can
just pay your way to
but
Darth
you're spending
Vader.
a lot of money.
So it's not
exactly.
But I know what you're saying.
You could buy coins to buy levels and all that jazz. But at least, because last time I I used my V-Bucks to buy levels. The max it went was level 75.
That's
And
not
then
that
rest-
they don't lock you anymore. I think
Oh, they don't. Okay.
no,
No, because I definitely bumped up myself when I had extra V-Bucks.
you can. I think you can buy up to 100 levels.
Yeah, you can.
And it doesn't matter if you're doing it before you've hit 100 or after.
Because you go after 100 because there's bonus shit. and
Right.
stuff.
So I think you can. I think you can buy up to 100 levels, and it definitely is that you can do it now past the limit of 100.
I mean, if you want to
They
spend like
did.
50
They
bucks.
did used to cap you, and you couldn't buy levels past level 100. They have since changed that because
Okay.
people were
Man,
spending
like
money.
just talking about free to play stuff. Like I've been playing so much more free to play stuff in the last couple of years.
Sure.
Not just because it's free. I mean, it's helpful. Like I don't spend $70, but like if you have a good model, if your game is good and you have a good model that rewards me enough, I will come back to it. That's why I do buy Fortnite, but like $10 a month is not a big deal to me.
Right.
Like they're earning how much you earn per game makes sense to me. I always feel like I'm progressing. Same with multiverses. Overwatch 2, the brand newest of the free to play games, bad monetization. I am all these games you pay for skins. I have no problem with that. Every free to play game should be that model. You know, you want to look cool, spend money on it. No problems with that. The problem is I have to play for like 2 months to unlock one Overwatch skin, and that's just insane.
Yeah.
That's just truly
Yeah.
insane.
I think.
Yeah. I think that they.
Overwatch. Yeah. I was gonna say to put a pin on Overwatch. I think Overwatch is definitely gonna be a really good topic for the next quarter.
Yeah. I think that the Fortnite's a pretty good example because like you can also earn skins. You can earn the V-Bucks, but like you have to be really selective because you don't earn V-Bucks very quickly.
Yeah.
And I feel like that system multiverses is the same. They have a really slow, and I think I think the earnings should be stepped up a little. I understand that they want to make their sales off skins and everything, but I don't feel like I should have to play, 150 hours to unlock a single skin. I think it should be closer to like 75.
Yeah.
About half the length that it takes to be able to unlock a skin just by playing the game.
Yeah.
And I wish that they were doing that more. I think Knockout City is actually one that's gotten a little better about it. I think they already were pretty good about it, but to their credit, I think they've gotten better because they understand that people will still buy things, but giving them a reason to feel like they are earning something increases game engagement.
I know Fall Guys just went free to play a couple months ago.
Yeah.
And people seem to really like that model. Again, it's the same model. You know, you have a battle pass.
It's very Fortnite. It's Epic now because
Yeah, it's
Epic owns both.
So basically every game has like a free battle pass and like a paid battle pass. So like you'll always get stuff for free. It won't be as good or as often, but like it'll be there. But then the paid battle pass, whether it's $5-10, that's where you play the game and unlock a lot of shit. And every single game that we talked about today has
right.
those.
And
free.
all these games are fun to play, and that's part of the thing that
Yeah.
makes it so easy to do.
The problem is Overwatch 2, it's really fun to play, but like I don't feel like I'm ever earning anything ever playing it, which is the problem for a free to play.
Well, I think also the problem with Overwatch 2 is it's the competition of other things that have better models is out there, but it's also competing against Overwatch 1, which had a better model.
Yeah.
And like people were comfortable with it, and like this change is not jiving with a community that was already built in.
It's true.
And
Half of them
that's
can't even play
really
it.
that's a hard win to take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was your other news item, Ben?
I was just about to say my other news item because NFT consoles those suck. But my other news item was really I just want to talk a bit about the Nintendo Direct that came out September. I'm definitely not one of those people who's gonna go out and say, oh, this Nintendo Direct was a horrible Nintendo Direct, yada yada yada. But I would say one of the things about this Direct was a lot of farming sim games.
Hell yeah, this is my direct, baby.
Yeah, there were so many farming sims. Like we have the trailer for Tears of the Kingdom coming up, which actually was the big air quotes showstopper, where it's like here's the title of the Breath of the Wild sequel, Tears of the Kingdom.
The Queen.
Yeah, I'm super excited about because we're seeing a bunch of the stone art, like there's Zelda. Other than that, I was kind of underwhelmed with the Direct as a whole, mostly because if people like farming games, I'm a go for it. I think I'm kind of farming gamed out. I've fallen off of Animal Crossing hardcore. I want to say Cult of the Lamb was a nice 50-50 mix of land management and
we'll get into that.
We'll get into it, of course. But other than that, it's just like,
I hear I haven't engaged with it at all, but I hear a lot of people like the Dreamlight, the Disney Dreamlight Valley.
Yeah, that's free. That's on Xbox Game Pass, baby.
I hear that's been received really well.
I started playing a game this week called Rune Factory 4. And we see a trailer in this Nintendo Direct for Rune Factory 5. And that is a Harvest Moon farm simulator, but it's also a town dungeon dating simulator RPG. It's kind of the perfect game for me. Let me see if I can find it. Ben, you're right. There are way too many farming simulators. Here's one of them. Yeah. There are way too many farming simulators in this, but you know what? A lot of fans of farming simulators.
Do you think in some ways this is also the Switch kind of playing to what its hardware is capable of at this moment in time?
That definitely helps.
And not stretching too far beyond it. Like, this is just where they kind of went, well, this is a lot of what works right now.
The Switch, great system. It's still definitely, it's like two GameCubes put together.
Getting outdated quickly by technology.
And again, Nintendo has always been, not always, that's not true. They were innovators in the beginning, but like the past couple of console generations, they're definitely like, graphics are not our forte, and that's fine. Like gameplay is always more important than anything. But you know, after a while, I'd like something to look really good on a Nintendo console. Yeah. That'd be cool.
I will say though, because I did completely forget that there were some great announcements. Like if you go back a little bit, this is Rune Factory 5, but I'm talking about Octopath Traveler 2.
Yeah, this looks great.
I love this. I haven't played the original Octopath Traveler. I haven't played Triangle Strategy yet, but I love the HD 2D style where you have 16-bit style sprites with more realistic backgrounds. Mm-hmm. And to me, that just looks absolutely stunning because it's very reminiscent of the SNES and Gen RPGs. Because I love sprite work. I love when sprite work is made to look absolutely stunning and gorgeous. So I'm like, hell yeah. I'm all for this.
I agree. It does look very good. I like the look of this a lot. And I think that, it's not a knock on the game itself. It's just they are playing in the wheelhouse of what the Switch excels at. And something like that is something the Switch excels at.
I just realized that the basement arcade logo makes it look like there's a stand for the TV we're watching. It's so good. It's so good. Visual audio listeners, it's so good.
Yeah. Oh yeah, but I completely forgot. But I never played the Pikmin games, but Pikmin 4 was announced.
I love Pikmin.
I don't know if I never tried Pikmin. I don't know what Pikmin is. All I remember is that back in the GameCube era, people were going nuts for Pikmin. And then when Pikmin 3 came out, people were also like, yay, Pikmin 3. And I'm just like, I just know these dudes as little characters from a Nintendo franchise that I'm not 100% aware of. But I do know that there are avid fans for this game. And I am just happy that they're getting another.
Let me tell you real quick about Pikmin. Pikmin, you play Captain Olimar, and you get lost on you're an explorer, and you get trapped on an alien planet. You are a very, very tiny man. You might have landed on a post-apocalyptic Earth. Who knows? It's post-apocalyptic Earth because of what you're dealing with. But like, you find Pikmin, and you have red Pikmin, blue Pikmin, yellow Pikmin. Red are fire, blue are water, yellow are electricity, and it's a puzzle game. So you collect Pikmin, and you're like, oh, I need to charge a battery. I need 10 yellow Pikmin to charge that battery. So you go and find them. You fight monsters. You collect them. It's like Lemmings. You ever play the Lemmings game where they all die?
I played Lemmings Paintball, but not. Actually, no, I have played the original Lemmings. Yeah.
You know what it's about. They all die. Pikmin die really easily, but it's a big puzzle game about collecting little plant people and using their elemental powers to complete puzzles. It's a great franchise. Love the franchise. I'm glad 4 is coming out. Also, Just Dance is back.
Yeah, I don't care about Just Dance. I'm sorry, but
me neither.
I will say, like, yeah, yay to Pikmin 4, but also like every time I see Pikmin, I think to myself, like, the few times I've gotten Olimar as when I'm doing like all rando characters in Smash Bros. Olimar is my least favorite character. I do not. I am so bad at Olimar, but also Kirby. Yay, another Kirby game coming to Switch. I'm not mad about it. That was very quick.
Kirby's having a good year. Look at him.
For them.
Well, this is his 30th anniversary, so I'm pretty sure Nintendo is definitely trying to push a lot of Kirby stuff, but I'm always down for more Kirby.
Hell yeah.
Actually, fun fact, when I was over at Portland for the Gaming Expo, I was thinking, I could probably pick up Kirby Planet Robobot and Kirby's Extra Epic Yarn for the Nintendo 3DS.
Epic Yarn.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Those Kirby games are expensive. Epic Yarn was like $200. Well, not $200. That was way too much. It was like $150.
Was that on the Wii U?
No, it was on the 3DS.
Oh, it was 3D. Wait, Epic Yarn?
Yeah, extra Epic Yarn.
So extra. Gotcha.
Yeah, so I think Epic Yarn was on the Wii U, but then extra Epic Yarn was on the 3DS because no one bought a Wii U, but everyone bought a 3D. Well, okay, not everyone, but more people bought a 3DS.
Yeah. Nobody bought a Wii U. That's a shame.
Yeah. So I'm looking at. I was looking at all these all these Kirby games. I'm like, why is Kirby so expensive now? But yeah, I mean, new Kirby game for the Switch.
Everybody's sitting here making fun of the Wii U, but you watch. This is how we're gonna let Ben play the Metroid Prime trilogy for Basement Arcade.
Nah, bro.
Promise you.
That game's coming out on Switch soon.
That
Rumor is so hot. It might as well be melting my feet.
Yeah, but will it run better on the Wii U?
Oh, Nintendo.
Oh, Nintendo.
Rude. That's so rude.
But yeah, I mean, all in all, there were some great announcements, like with the games we just talked about. But yeah, it seemed like every other announcement was a farming sim. Once again, not that that's a bad thing, but it's just like, man, so many farming sims. I'm kind of done.
This one I'm excited about because I love a good strategy.
Oh, hell yeah.
Mech game,
Hell
front
yeah.
mission. Never played the original, but I will play a remake of this game. Hell yeah, baby.
Nice.
Me too.
Because you were scanning through and I saw Bayonetta 3, just wanted to touch on that, like,
what a mess.
The voice actor, he said, she said situation.
It's only gotten worse, which is really unfortunate.
Yeah, really rough. Big bummer. I'm inclined to feel like voice actors are mistreated in general in the industry anyway.
It's true.
Yeah, real shame.
Yeah, I've only played the first Bayonetta, but Bayonetta 1 is a classic, and Bayonetta 2 got a 10 out of 10 from IGN and also Wii U exclusive. So not a lot of people have played that game, but it came to Switch.
And then moved to Switch, and it still sold a lot, and a lot of copies were sold.
Oh yeah, Bayonetta is one of like the most like one of the highest profile JRPGs.
Yeah.
That's come out, and like it's been so long since 2, and so many people were hyped for 3, and then this.
So for our audience that might not know, what happened is the Bayonetta voice actor said that she wants people to boycott the game because they offered her an extraordinarily low sum for the recording session. Now, after she said this, what she said is that they offered $4,000 total for her recordings for Bayonetta, which is obscene.
Yeah.
And they came back and said, no, what we offered was 5 sessions, $4,000 each, and she demanded 6 figures. And I find that incredibly hard to believe that she demanded 6 figures.
It's a lot of hearsay. There's a lot of back and forth from multiple people saying different things.
Yes.
At the end of the day, voice actors in the industry are underpaid, even if whether she was paid $4,000 or $20,000. That's still not enough money as a lead in a video game in one of the biggest franchises of all time.
Yes. Coming back for the 3rd entry.
Yeah. Now, and whether or not she wanted too much money, that might have been the case. But the fact is, like, she was being underpaid. Like, I don't think this would have happened unless she was being paid what she deserved.
Right.
So like, it's a shitty situation. And then like the guy who made the game came out and saying this was all bullshit. Don't listen to anybody. And I'm like, I don't even know who to believe because you're also like a known asshole.
Yes, right. Like he's a huge known asshole.
So like it's
yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's a big bummer. But if anything, this will sound weird, it's almost better that there's shit coming on both sides because then I don't feel as bad like playing the game in the future. Because like everyone seems to be going through drama. I'm like, I wanted to support the people who made the game. Like, come on.
Yeah. The drama on Twitter when this first came out was big, and then there was a lot of people essentially going after the game director, who was also on Twitter. Turns out to be a very
he got suspended from Twitter because he blocked too many people too fast. That's something that can happen because he went on a blocking rampage.
Oh no, because he actually posted something that said that if you don't speak Japanese, do not comment because I will block you immediately.
Yeah, and then the entire world said, "Oh yeah."
Yeah. So there, I mean, a whole lot of things going back and forth, and then of course the news came out that's a bunch of hearsay. I never played the Bayonetta games. I only have Bayonetta 1 for my PS3 because thanks to our friend of the show Grayson, he was giving away a bunch of PS3 games.
That's how I played it.
So I'm like, okay, yoink.
Ben, you would love Bayonetta. That is such a awesome hardcore.
It's very much your shit.
Very cool game.
Mm-hmm.
I should probably.
I've only played the first one. It's a good one.
Yeah, I've only played the first one. I've seen the second one, thankfully, around in stores. Because originally I wanted to get the Switch version that came with Bayonetta 1 and Bayonetta 2, but I think that one is either gone to the wind or just way too expensive on eBay now.
Yeah.
So, but I haven't played Bayonetta yet, and I'm just like kind of, it's definitely on my list to play because I do want to try it at least. So, I mean, who knows? Maybe I'll probably just, I don't know.
A lot of games.
When I'm ever going to get to it, but yeah.
There's a lot of games in the world.
Backlog is real. But yeah, so Nintendo Direct, to put a pin in it, there was some good stuff, but there was a lot of really more of this kind of thing. So I would say kind of decent, but yeah, the Breath of the Kingdom. I'm hyped. You know I'm hyped. I'm
Yeah,
ready. Give it to me.
absolutely.
It killed the queen. The hype. She was like, "There's a new trailer. My queen."
And then of
Tears
course
of the Kingdom.
and of course she's right behind you, Ryan.
Hello.
A little postcard I got you when I was in England.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that was those are my news items.
Great. Lovely. Well, I will move on to my news item, which will also take us into what we've been playing. But I have been playing Cyberpunk 2077, or let's say I beat Cyberpunk 2077 a couple weeks ago, but I put about 60 hours into it. But before I talk about my experience with that, I want to talk about the news that shocked a lot of people. Because if you're in the games world, you know Cyberpunk came out 2 years ago. One of the biggest disasters, the biggest launch disasters of all time.
Yeah.
That game was almost unplayable on modern systems, completely unrunnable on previous systems. And it's just like, for a company that put out the 3 Witcher games, which are some of the best role-playing games of all time, they had a perfect track record for this to happen. It was a big blow to not just them, but to its fans, to the audience. It was...
They had to issue refunds.
They not only issued refunds, but PlayStation took the game off the store. You weren't even allowed to buy it. It was that bad,
Yeah.
right? 2 years later, massive updates, years of work. They got an expansion coming out soon. I think that game's incredible. I think it is, just like The Witcher 3, one of the greatest role-playing games of all time. It is such a rich adventure that, like, now that we're here, it's almost, I can't fault them for trying to push the envelope so hard at the beginning, because the game should have been delayed. But like, the end product is something that I just have never seen in a video game before. It's so dense. You've only seen it for like 2 minutes, but like, how dense the world is, how lived in, how rich, how big, and how emotional the characters are, how it just, everything. It feels like an HBO show, just like living in this world. It's so beautiful. But the news about CD Projekt Red, they have announced 6 new games. They announced 6 games in their little announcement. There's going to be 3 new Witcher games, a new IP. 5 games, 3 new Witcher games, a new IP, and a Cyberpunk sequel. And a lot of people were going, "The fuck are you guys talking about? You can't even get Cyberpunk right half the time." Which I think is a little unfair, because, like, again, they didn't put out a game and left it to die. They've been working on it hardcore for years, and now it is in great shape.
Right.
It's the No Man's Sky effect.
It is the No Man's Sky, yeah, and luckily that doesn't happen too often, because if every game were like this, that'd be a huge disaster. But
Right. And a strong example of why, like, video game delays are important, and like not pushing a game out when it's not ready is important.
100%. So Cyberpunk 2077 was announced almost a decade ago. They've been working on this game for so long, right? So people, when they announced that they're working on 5 new games, people are like, "You guys are crazy. You guys are still working on Cyberpunk." They've been working on Cyberpunk for almost a decade. Do you think they want to move on? I'd want to move on. Working on the same project for a decade? The game is in such good shape now that their expansion, which is coming out in a couple months, is also almost done. That game is done. There's not much more they need to do to this game.
Right.
And again, working on the same thing for a decade, I would lose my mind. Like, please let me work on something else. So people are worried that they've announced 5 games, thinking this one studio is going to make 5 games. They didn't read the announcement, because they're not making all these games. They are outsourcing they're outsourcing a couple games, and their studio has grown insane, like extrapolated their numbers by like double, right? So Cyberpunk 2077, they have a team. That team has now moved to Boston. In Boston, there is a new CD Projekt Red in Boston. They're working on the Cyberpunk sequel, right? So that is a 1-to-1. There is another team in Poland where the Witcher team was working on, right? So they're working on the next 2 Witcher games. That's fine. There's a 3rd Witcher game, which is being made by another developer. And then the new IP is something we don't know much about. That's too early. When I hear all of that, I'm not worried, because half the games that they announced they're not working on, and then they have two separate studios working on big games. And like, look at Insomniac. Insomniac is making Wolverine and Spider-Man 2 right now. I'm not worried about them. People are still so living in the past of how bad Cyberpunk was. Like, I understand, like, I get it. Like, people will never give that game a chance because of how bad it started. And I get that. Like, I'm not gonna fault anyone who spent $70 on a broken game, right? But I think it's disingenuous to look at what they've done since then and to see how much their studio has grown, how honest they are about how they develop games, why the game took a turn. It was because of the PS4 versions, trying to make 2 separate versions of the game that shouldn't have been made. Right. I'm extremely excited because one, a new Witcher game is always exciting because the Witcher rules. I think Cyberpunk is such an incredible franchise that people are now coming back to because of the anime, and having a sequel where you have the groundworks laid in Cyberpunk 2077, they can only build up and go and be a better product, in my opinion, because they spent so long trying to get just to the foundation of what Night City is. Now that they're there, they can just make an entirely another game and it's going to be half as easy. It's like almost like God of War Ragnarok, right? Like they had the foundation there. So like, I'm really excited. You guys will eventually, hopefully one day, try Cyberpunk. Yeah. And I know, Ben, you'll try The Witcher for sure, because that's getting a next-gen update next month. But people online are just so anti CD Projekt Red, which I get, but also like, y'all, you just watch the anime they helped make, right? Like they got it. I'm not worried.
Going to Cyberpunk, I haven't written Cyberpunk off. It's just like No Man's Sky. The reason why I haven't touched No Man's Sky or even Cyberpunk, to be perfectly honest, it's just that they're too big of games.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing.
No, those are my type of games. I love big games.
Yeah, I enjoy big games too, but at the same time, I have over close to 200 hours in Elden Ring, and I haven't even beaten the last boss yet.
Yeah.
I have I have like maybe 13, 15 hours in Cult of the Lamb, so maybe, possibly, and I still haven't beaten the last boss yet. Mm-hmm. I got to him, I just haven't beaten it yet.
The one who waits.
Yeah. To me, like when I see games like Cyberpunk and Witcher, like I do want to experience these games. It's also a thing of like, do I want to? It's like, what's the hook that will get me to want to play these games? And
great storylines, great gameplay, great graphics.
That, it's just like it's another time thing.
Yeah,
it's just another time thing. And if I'm just feeling it, but I would love to give Cyberpunk a try. I've had an idea of how the character I want to play in Cyberpunk, and of course, I definitely want to give The Witcher a shot. And it's just that I know these games are very long games, and part of me is also scared that I'm going to play it for a certain amount of time and be like, hey, this is awesome, and then something else pops up, and I move to that, and I never touch it again.
Earlier this year, in February, I started Cyberpunk, and then
that's right.
Then a little game came out called Elden Ring, and I was like, I don't know what Cyberpunk is anymore. Cyber what? Cyber what-y? Yeah, Elden Ring definitely took up most of my time, but I came back to Cyberpunk. It's fantastic. Love it. I'm excited for the future. That's my news. So much more CD Projekt Red.
So, you want to talk more about playing Cyberpunk?
Sure. Let's dive into what we've been playing.
Yeah.
Hey, it's that game. Man. So, I love role-playing games. Ben, I know you love role-playing games. Not that you don't, but like you're currently doing a Dungeons and Dragons podcast soon. So like you're very much into stats and skills and attributes. And I talked about it briefly on the Fake Nerd podcast, but Cyberpunk is a tabletop role-playing game in the vein of Dungeons and Dragons, which has been turned into a video game. And those two go hand in hand. Anytime you play a role-playing game, you're putting stats into your attributes. Like, oh, do I want to be smarter? Do I want to be stronger, stealthier, that type of game? And Cyberpunk is a game that lets you do whatever you want, however you want. Do you want to go guns blazing? Do you want to be stealthy? Do you want to be invisible? Do you want to be? Do you want to use blades? Do you want to use nunchucks? Do you want to use throwing daggers? Do you want to do it all through hacking abilities, which is what I did in my last playthrough, where you don't even have to enter a room. You can look at the camera, you can hack that camera, and then you see the entire room, and you just slowly, one by one, just blow everyone's brains out with technology. It's a wild game. The emotions are so heavy because it's all about like living in like the worst city in the world and how do you survive. It's with your homies, and it's a whole game about building connections and keeping those connections and trying not to be backstabbed because money rules the world. And it's such a good time, and it sold 20 million copies, so I know I'm not the only person loving it, which is really great. It already sold a lot of copies before the anime came out, but the anime really helped a lot. I just think it's tremendous. I think it's probably the best looking game on modern consoles now, for the breadth that it's doing. It is a massive open world game that also looks incredible. The fidelity of the characters and their animations and the way that they talk and look and their mouth movements and their eyes. The thing that gets me about video games is eyes, because a lot of times they look dead. It's like the uncanny valley thing of video games. Cyberpunk does the rare thing of like, sometimes they look too real and it makes me unnerved. Certain angles, certain shots with the lighting, I'm like, that just looks like a real person. It's kind of freaky. I love it. I just absolutely love it. I love the environment. I love how kind of like in, how do I say this? In the prequel Star Wars trilogy, it's very sleek and clean. somehow this is able to look sleek and clean, but also show how grimy. Oh, it's Star Wars. It's perfectly Star Wars. Like you have the upscale of Coruscant and then downscale of 1313. How disgusting it is. Like you go to the upper floors of Night City and it's sleek and it's chrome and it's all corporate and everybody is like, look how cool I am. And then you go to the very bottom and it's like the worst of the worst and they're wearing like scraps and they're all like metalled out because like that's how you live. And like it feels like such a real environment. And I just love walking around that city. I love being stupid, and it's like walking with traffic because like people stop at stoplights and cars stop at stoplights, and it's fun just living in the world because you guys have played games like Arkham and Spider-Man where random crime happens throughout the city. That shit's happening all the time in Night City. So you'll be walking down the street and then cops will run by you. You're like, oh, what's that about? And you'll go follow them and you see this big adventure happening, and it's a fully beautiful realized world, and that's where my monologue will stop. Cyberpunk 2077. It's a great game. Love it. Almost bug-free, which is not what I could have said 2 years ago.
I'm really happy to hear that. It makes me, you talking about it makes me really want to play it. I'm sure the anime will push me over the edge.
Oh, God. And especially after that anime. It is, I said it before, it is a one-to-one. I've never watched something that is so tied to a product in my life. Like every shot, it's like, I know where that is. I know where that is. I know who that is. I know what they're doing. It's
That's really cool.
It's sinking at a rate unlike Pacific Rim could even handle.
Have you seen that? Have you seen the commercial, the trailer, Ben, where they show the anime and the game locations one-to-one so that you see that a place in the anime is also in the video game? You should really look at it.
I tried to make. I made.
I don't
you guys
think he was
watch
on
it.
that episode.
Oh, he wasn't on that episode. Okay.
That's why I was asking.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Ben wasn't there. So there is a trailer that you should go check out that shows that the Edge Runners locations are in the game.
Maybe I
and
can
you
do
can
it
see
right
it
now.
directly. Oh, Ryan's gonna get it right
You
now.
can talk. Yeah.
And I think that's really cool. That does feel like, man, you can really like. I try to think of something that even kind of comes close to that is, I don't know, like just when you see a book adapted very well and you're like, oh, that is exactly, the thing I was picturing in my brain when I was reading it. And it feels like this is kind of getting into a similar space with how you're able to physically go to the anime locations in the video game. I think that's really cool.
Oh, yeah. All right, I got it here. So we'll just, yeah, I love Cyberpunk. It's a story. Oh, yeah. Hold on, let me go back to there. Whoop. Oh, no.
That's why. Yeah.
Trailer Park. You see it now, Ben? You see this?
Yep, I'm seeing it.
Okay.
I'm watching it.
Yeah, so, yeah. Oh, God. This game looks so good.
Yeah. So you'll see the video game and the anime locations.
It's
will match.
literally, yeah, every shot's like a one for one. Sometimes characters show up. Definitely environments show up. Like every ability and type of gun and corporation. You spend so much time in the afterlife. God, I'm definitely going to play this game again. 100%. That's so good. Yeah. And again, it's a great role-playing game where you can be good, you can be evil. When you create your character, there are 3 different starting locations, and they're vastly different. You can either be a corporation kid, a street kid, or someone who lives in the desert, and there are 3 vastly different backgrounds. So as you're having conversations with people, sometimes your corporation skill will pop up, and it'll only have that dialogue option because you're a corporate person. And like just really specific RPG stuff. Yeah, look at this. It looks so good. Oh, this game looks so good. Love it.
This does look great.
Yeah, it's great. It's good shit. Yeah, so I'm loving Cyberpunk. The Witcher 3 is finally getting its next gen update. It of course, because of the pandemic and stuff, they got pushed. But like they said, by the end of this year, which is 2 months, that update will be out, and it will be a 4K, 60 frames per second Witcher 3. So like CD Projekt Red, boop boop. I'm loving what you're doing.
Yeah, I think that's really cool stuff. Cyberpunk's definitely going to be on my list to play. It's just I know it's not till next year experience.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's
because I know more or less what my video game future is for the rest of this year, especially like with the amount of time I've had for moving. And it's it's very specific things.
Oh yeah, we don't have much time left. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can tell of 2 games that are going to take one that's. I have a vacation coming up from work in November, and one game is definitely going to be beaten in less than 2 weeks, and another is going to just take over my life when that sucker comes out at the very tail end of said vacation. So
we have a whole list of trailers of the next 3 months worth of games that we'll talk about later.
We do.
It's really great. I think it's really great how excited for Sonic Frontiers Ben's in.
Oh, we'll talk about it.
That's awesome.
Hell yeah, we'll talk about that when we get there. So I've been playing Cyberpunk. But I know there's a game that we've all been playing, which is nice that we can all have a discussion about something we're playing.
Yeah, once I was already excited about this game, but once I knew that both of you were already on it, I was like, well, I want to get on it. I want us to be able to talk about this, which is actually why I wanted to say, like, I'm really glad we're doing the quarterlies and stuff, because that gives me more motivation to be like, well, I'm gonna play this game.
Yeah. And that game, my friends, is Cult of the Lamb, which is on Switch, PC, Xbox, PlayStation, every console. And it is a beautiful indie game about a little sheep,
Little lamb.
little lamb that could. It's Cult of the Lamb, duh. Little lamb that could.
Yeah. I am almost like I'm literally, I go in one more time and I kill the third of the heretic gods.
There are 4 bosses and 1 final boss.
Yeah.
And I have beaten the game.
Right. I think if we hadn't been moving, I would have done this in time.
Yeah.
But the moving and school and work made it so that like I've squeezed in a lot of time with it, but I have not gotten to beat it. I'm excited to do so. I really do like the game. I like it a lot. I love the art style. I think the game plays very, very nicely. I think I've gotten maybe a little too caught up in playing with like forming my cult and how I want to refine it and everything.
Oh yeah.
More so than I did in like, oh, I should go do more crusades. Oops. And probably could have been earning things a little quicker had I been thinking about, oh, I should probably go back out there.
The thing about this game is though, like even though y'all haven't beaten it, there's nothing really left to discover. You know what the game is.
Right.
Like you're only just going to be upgrading stuff or getting better things. So like even though you haven't beaten it, like there's not much more to learn if I'm being honest.
Sure.
Like that the hook of the game.
You kill the 4 and then the guy who made you do it, you're like, I'm going to kill you too. I assume.
Maybe.
Yeah. The thing about Cult of the Lamb is that this game completely took over my house.
Yeah.
Not just because, and I mean, Fanny was playing it, my roommate Kai is playing it, I was of course playing it, and it was funny because so many times have I come home from work because we only have a few garage doors, I would call Fanny to open the garage door to let me in, and I would hear the in the background because I'm like, oh, I know what you're doing, you're playing Cult of the Lamb. And she's actually beaten the game twice already. She's played it twice because when her second playthrough, she decided to, I'm going to pick every other ritual that I didn't pick the first time. So essentially she's doing a mirror run.
Yeah.
And I'm talking with Kai, and I'm talking with my roommate Kai, and he's like, oh yeah, this is what I've done with my followers. And then we're all comparing our cults, how we've decorated our cults and how we decorate everything. And then even just going into the what I love about this game is that even when you do go into a crusade, it's very easy to play, but there are some times where you really have to be careful. You can't just go and go sword swinging and just hacking and slashing.
It gets harder. Yeah.
It does get harder. Yeah. I fought the one who waits twice and I lost both times. And I thought the second time I was definitely gonna be in because I had a hammer and I was just smashing everything, but I got way too greedy and I died.
I think the core loop of the game is just fantastic because it's you have your cult, you cultivate your cult, you talk to your people, you feed them, you do your thing, then you go on your action adventure, right? And you either succeed or you don't. Whether you win or lose doesn't matter because you'll come back to your cult with stuff to make the cult better, to get more stuff for the cult. You go on your adventure. It is a perfect loop that I love. I always feel like I'm earning something. Oh, I can put a new thing here. I can put a new gravestone here. Ooh, I can dance with my person one more time. There's always something.
I also love how there's also a sense of urgency when you go on crusades, because when you go on crusades, your faith meter drops down. I don't think I've ever had my faith meter in the red, or if I did, I immediately went to my church to like up their faith.
Oh yeah, I refuse to have bad faith. No, not in my house.
Yeah, me too. But then as the further you progress in the game, there's ways to cheese it a little bit. And I think that's good because then you've earned the right to do that. Now I can go in crusade and I won't have to worry about my followers. I can go and do X, Y, and Z. I can do so many times and this game is definitely one of those games where I have stayed up way too late playing because it's like, oh, I need to do this. Oh, it's weird because you're given a laundry list of tasks to do, but it doesn't seem like a laundry list of tasks. It seems like, I need to do this person's quest because I don't want their faith in me to shake. Or, man, I gotta go into a very long crusade run, but it's like, oh wait, I just unlocked the mushrooms. I could get everyone high as hell and then just go out and fight. And their faith is locked in. I could do all this horrible shit.
Yeah,
won't do anything about it.
The brainwashing one is like, I use that one a lot because I'm like, I don't want to have to deal with y'all right now. Just be happy. You're all drugged out. Yeah. Just be happy.
Exactly.
I did end up in bad faith at one point, and it was because my I got a request from a follower to make a specific dish, and for the life of me, I didn't have the recipe.
Oh, okay.
And like I don't know how I was supposed to get it because I was getting what I felt were ingredients. It was like a vegetable soup or something.
Yeah.
And that quest was about to go south on me. And while I was on a crusade, I wasn't paying attention. And so that quest failed while I was out. 2 cult members died.
Oh, yeah.
And then the heretic god was like, also, I'm going to punish you with like 4 of them being sick. And I was like, oh man, I gotta go.
You got the bad RNG all at once.
I got a really bad time. That I did want to bring that up. Like there have been a couple of moments in the game where I'm like, well, that just felt off, which is like the vegetable soup quest where I'm like, I just don't know how I'm supposed to complete this because I was given it, I've gone out, I've gotten ingredients, but I can't make the dish they're asking for.
There's one specific instance, and it was very early on, and nothing else like it happened again. But I was trapped for about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It was early on in the game, and I needed to build a specific like rock or temple. I needed to build something.
Yeah.
To progress, and I couldn't go up to do a what the hell's it called? I couldn't do a crusade, right? But I couldn't earn what I needed unless I went on a crusade. So I just had to wait like 5 days for something to unlock. So I was like, there's nothing I could do for like 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's a problem.
And I just had to wait for days to go by for something to pop open. I'm like, how did I get here? How do I solve this? Luckily, it fixed itself.
Right.
But like, I was definitely confused for a bit.
I did not end up with that particular problem.
So fun fact, it's not out yet, but it's going to be in the next issue of Fusion Gaming Magazine. I wrote a review for Cult of the Lamb in that magazine. And in that review, one of my biggest problems with the game was how a lot of random bugs and glitches would come up and they would hinder my process or they would essentially not trigger a certain thing. Now, once again, this is an indie game. This is a small team, and I'm not faulting the small team for it because they do realize that, yes, there's bugs and they're working on it slowly but surely. It's there. But there were some times where a lot of these bugs would hinder my enjoyment of the game.
Sure.
A lot of times, especially with the rituals for me were the biggest problem because I had a quest to perform a certain ritual. I would do the ritual, but then my game would get stuck. Like there was a constant loop of the animation of us dancing in the middle. And there are also times where I would be on a crusade and an enemy would be just far enough out of the room I was in, and they would get stuck and caught in an endless death animation.
Fascinating.
Super loud.
Yeah.
And I can't progress out of said room because they're not dead or the animation's constantly.
So that happened to me once, but it was just an enemy was trapped outside of the boundary of the wall. They didn't die. I like couldn't hit them. So I was like, I don't know what to do.
I didn't have any of those kinds of problems. I did get to the game later than you guys, and I'm also playing on Switch, which you guys both played on the PlayStation.
Yep.
I really like it on the Switch. I think it's a good Switch game. I really
seems like a
enjoyed
good
that
portable
decision.
game.
It works very well being portable. But I will say this just happened to me like a few days ago. There's you unlock the guy who's got the big fish behind him. It's one of the locations you go to, and you get to go to his location. Like you give him eyes of the witness, and he gives you stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you go to the right, you get to peer into the darkness and talk to that guy. You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah. That happens every once in a while, different locations.
Yes. Usually when you unlock one of the new spots, you go somewhere and it's like, hello, I will offer you thing. So he appeared and he was like, I'll take 2 followers or half of one of your hearts. What do you want to do? And then the screen zoomed out and nothing showed up. And I got glitched and stuck. And so I went back to my save, which was where I was at the cult. So before I went to the location, go back, do it again. Same thing happens. I go back one more time and same thing, go back to the cult save, try and go back. Now he just doesn't show up and I can't find him. Because I apparently just no longer have the option of whatever he was going to give me. Right. That's just over. Because he's not showing up again. And that kind of thing has like, that's a bummer.
I'll tell you what, I had more bugs in Cult of the Lamb than I did in my most recent Cyberpunk run. And that was a 60-hour massive open world RPG.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was saying with Cult of the Lamb, because I was playing Cult of the Lamb on my PS5, because I heard, especially when Cult of the Lamb, like when Cult of the Lamb first dropped, the Switch version, I wouldn't say it was unplayable, but what I was able to find is that a lot of Switch players were having more problems with bugs. And even on my PS5, what I noticed is that the bugs started showing up the longer we played. for example, my roommate would play for an hour and a half, 2 hours maybe, and then pass the controller to me, and I would play on my profile, and then like the game would be fine for about 30 minutes or so, and then all of a sudden I would get bugs in the rituals. Because my ritual bugs, I would like perform the ritual, nothing would pop up, and then I would leave, and then I would save and go and try to reload my game. But the icon that the ritual was performed is up on the top of the screen, but it didn't flag that the quest was finished.
Interesting.
It would still say perform this ritual, but then I'm like, but I did. The icon is there on my screen saying that I performed the ritual, but it's saying to still perform the ritual. And I can't remember if the materials that I used were still there or they were gone. So it was definitely, I mean, Cult of the Lamb is definitely one of those games that's really fun to play, but at the very same time, there are many instances where it just shows up or not shows up, where it's just like, she's just random bugs and random glitches will pop up. I remember I also got this item, this like really cool, it was just a cosmetic item. I don't need to use it for the rest of the game, but I really liked the aesthetic because it was like a crystal flag, because I had the mushroom one, and I'm like, I like the crystal one more. I want to use the crystal flag to be next to my church because I think that looks cool. I don't know what happened, but for the longest time, the item slot of where it was on my inventory was blank. Like you could see the materials you need to use to build it, but it was just empty. It was an empty slot. And then finally, I don't know if the game finally updated, it was finally there. And it was the weirdest thing because like for not 3 days in game, but 3 days IRL, that one item was just inaccessible to me because it was just gone. It was there, but it wasn't there.
So I will say that the two bug instances I just named, the one with the recipe and the one really annoying one with the guy who appears in the darkness, those are the only two. Otherwise, I've had zero. Absolutely zero. The game has run very well on my Switch. And those were it. So perhaps because, again, I came to it later than both of you did.
Patches.
Yeah. Perhaps things have been quite well repaired, because for me, the gaming experience has been very, very smooth.
And any of the bugs I did have, like none of them like took me out of the game, except for that one early on for 20 minutes. But like any bug I did have, it didn't crash the game. It didn't ruin the game. I was just like, oh, that's a bummer. But like nothing ever like took me out, luckily.
I agree with you. I really like the cycle of the gameplay, the way that you work with your cult day to day and do the crusades. I think that all plays really well. I like the design of the crusade maps when you return. That at certain points you can choose to just fight the final boss again if you destroy the statue, or you can choose to not return to the cult and continue on to the next tier and get more cards and more rewards and stack up. And I think all that's really, really cool. You're not seeing your cult for a while, so you have to make sure they're doing okay, but you can go through multiple tiers of that. I think that's all really cool. The art's great. The music is awesome. I have yet to find a track that I like as much as Darkwood, which is the very first crusade area you go into that has the I like the music, but that track really works for me.
The main like camp theme is like so catchy. Yeah, I love it. It's like it's like almost like an Animal Crossing, but we're demonic.
The voice work I also really like. I think they're all really cute. Specifically, I really like people like the fisherman who's just like, score. I
love it. Yeah, I love it.
It's all really good.
I like some of the one-liners, like the guy who gives you the tarot cards was like, one cannot argue with the draw. It's like arguing with the ocean. I think he has some decent, good one-liners. Besides that, I also just love how like some of the voice work, the and I can't tell you how many times Fanny and I would just like look at each other in the room and we just go, woo.
They all speak Huttese. I really like that when you go on the crusade, the whatever environment you're in, whatever god you're heading towards, all of the enemies kind of prepare you for that god,
and they match
like they're all kind of archetypally based off of the god, except for like the mass cult members who are kind of their own thing.
You get like mini bosses, which are like extrapolated big versions of the normal enemies you generally fight.
Yeah, and they'll have like there'll be similar movesets. You'll get like, oh, okay, I'm getting a lot of like frog types, so my final boss encounter is going to be with a lot of these frog essences.
It sets you
on.
up, yeah.
And I think that's really well done, really well made, so that as you're going and learning different enemy types, you are being built up to be ready to face the boss.
I will say this is not a negative. It's not a negative, but I do wish, because you can get different like ponchos to wear.
Yeah.
And all the ponchos are like negative side effects.
Yes.
To give you like a little bonus, and I
Yes.
didn't use any of those.
I used one. I use
fleece?
Yeah, the fleece. Yeah, I didn't.
I'm gonna look it up.
I understand the point of like, oh, like you need a sacrifice to get a little benefit, but like I personally didn't find any of them really useful. I wish they would have been a little more positive than negative, but like that's just it's that's the choice of the game. So like it's not an actual negative. It's just like something I wish.
I tried some of the fleeces. I tried one fleece that I thought would be good, but it was like I was dying.
One like
constantly.
makes you stronger but has less health. Like I don't like that.
So I have the first one I unlocked was the golden fleece, and it's the only one I've used because I think all the others like the detractor far outweighs the benefit.
Same. Yeah.
But the golden fleece kills grant an added 5% bonus to damage as you continue to kill, but you lose the bonus and take twice the damage when you are hit.
I don't
so
like
if you
taking
can
damage.
if you can avoid being hit, you are stacking your damage.
Mhm.
And I have been pretty good at avoiding
Dodging.
hits most of the time, so I have not minded trying to stack my damage. So like if I'm not getting hit, the enemies just get easier and easier to take down.
Yeah.
That is the only fleece I have found personally. The benefit was matching to like what I was risking, and everything else felt like I agree
Too
with
much.
you. I'm losing more than I'm gaining.
Yeah.
I tried the golden. That was the first one I lost too. I tried using that one as well, and I was trying to dodge. But the thing about Cult of the Lamb is that there's a lot of rooms where you have a bunch of enemies come at you, and you forget where some enemies are. I have lost my place a few times in the game where it's like I forgot I couldn't. I was like focusing on one thing, and then like, oh shit, where did my character go? But I do say that if you get like. If you get really good at dodging and making sure when to strike, then of course the damage is, because I thought the same way. But then I realized my playstyle is more just jump in head first, ask questions later.
Sure. I made a decision like if I got to a point where I got martyred and like I just got overwhelmed because I was taking too much damage, I would change the fleece back, and that just hasn't happened.
Yeah.
So I felt like the golden fleece has worked out for me. But I do agree with the fact that like I've had zero interest in trying any of the others because I think like the cost is just not valuable.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you in this game, Ben. Where like it's obviously like you need to dodge to stay alive, but like anytime I got an upgrade, like give me more health so I can take more attacks, get more health. So I would have like 10 health, and I would just be the last final boss. I would just stick him in a corner, and I'd just be like, I'm gonna kill you first.
I say all this, and it won't surprise me if when I get to the end of the game, I will abandon the golden fleece because I will not be able to do it. But I just haven't hit that wall yet, so I'm like, I'm rocking with it. It's fine.
And it is. I do like that it gives you the option. I just wish like I felt more inclined to want to use any of them.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Are we done with Cult of the Lamb?
I think just as a last wrap up, I think that like I like the design of like the exterior map. I felt like those places kind of wear out their reason to go there very quickly.
Yeah, once like you unlock each zone has like one person you kind of talk to, and then you can buy like stuff from shops, but it's not as important.
Right.
But, like once you buy the thing from the person, it's like, all right, bye. Like I don't need to talk to this fish person anymore.
Yeah, and that was kind of like okay, and then like I've gone to the gambling place like twice. I just haven't felt the need to really like if I'm crusading enough, it doesn't really feel like it matters.
Oh yeah, I did the gold.
Yeah, I did it just when like you're supposed to.
Same.
For like facing the people, and then like I moved on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I like it as an option. I'm just like, do I need this? So that's kind of where it's at. But I do like managing the cults. I really like the customization of your cult members. I like that when you get them, you can choose these variants, these forms, the colors. You can rename them. I've renamed everybody. My favorite is Amuse Bouche. He's my favorite. We've been married twice.
I was about to say, how many marriages did you guys do?
I have done 2. I married one follower, and then they died. And after they died, I married Amuse Bouche because I loved Amuse Bouche. And then Amuse Bouche died, and I brought Amuse Bouche back to life, and we're still married.
So none of us did the thing because it's like, hey, you can marry as many people as you want, but they'll get jealous. I only had one marriage at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One marriage at a time.
I only had one marriage. The only time I would marry a cult member is if they come up to me and ask me to marry me. So I'm like, okay.
Sure. So the first person I married before Amuse Bouche is still dead, and I won't revive them because I don't want them to have a problem with me being married to Amuse Bouche.
I love also like with your dead bodies, you can have them buried properly. You can also cut them up and feed them to your followers.
Did you guys engage with the like necklaces and gifts for your followers kind of thing?
Yeah.
I think all that's really cool, especially if like you're really paying attention. You can like counter negative stats that they have, like things where they have less faith or these kinds of things with the net. I think all that works really well. I think it creates a nice balance system of like how you maintain your cult, the choices you make in your cult.
And I personally, like, I understand, like, you play a game for long enough and you have to do like the same 50 things over and over. I personally never got tired of walking up to all of my individual followers and going, you know what? You get a necklace. Today we're dancing. Let's go to church and talk about your sins real quick.
I maxed that shit out real quick. It's now like individual followers getting fully inspired like doesn't really actually benefit me anymore.
The thing that I went so hard on grinding devotion, the middle big. I maxed out so much of my shit early because like that's what I like to do in like games that allow me to do that. So like when I'm prepared when I go against that final boss, and I had like 3 demons I can summon. I had the most necrotic of weaponry and everything. I'm like,
I have like 3 things to unlock in the center shrine, and I think 2 to unlock through sermons. And that's where we're at. We're very close to.
And I love
having everything
that like. You don't have to use everything it gives you, but like everything is valuable and useful.
Right.
Because like I avoided the demon summoning longer than I should have until I realized that it doesn't kill your followers.
Right.
I thought it killed your followers.
I thought that too.
So once I realized that I can have 3 demons at once just hanging out all the time, I'm like, oh, why wasn't I doing this a year ago?
Right. Same deal with I wish I had built the convert your dead bodies to fertilizer thing much faster than I did.
Yeah. Because once you get a lot of followers, like people drop pretty fast.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had the funeral setting for mine. I would bury them. I'd do funerals, and they would just like watch them ascend into the heavens. And there are definitely some followers where it's like, hey, I don't want you to die so quickly, so I'm gonna give you a necklace that prolongs your life like really long.
Yeah.
And then there are other characters who's like, hey, you dissented when you first showed up, so I put you to jail, but you know what? As still punishment for your sins, here's a moon necklace that doesn't require you to sleep, and you're working 24/7.
Yeah, I love the sacrifice one because they're totally about it. Like, yeah, please sacrifice me, master.
Yeah.
And like the second somebody started dissenting, I'm like, a jail's full, bro. Sorry.
Why do some followers have to like eating poop so much? It's so weird.
Yeah, well, you know what? You feed them enough, and it's like Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah, I do just like the ability for the customization, cultivation, and construction of your cults. I think it's all very well handled. I'm glad that. Every once in a blue moon, like a follower dies of old age before I can get to the ascension of them, and I'm like, all right, well, we'll go bury you, I guess.
Yeah.
Bring you back later.
And what's nice is like you build a little gravestone, and they still give you devotion.
Did you guys ever harvest someone who died of old age for meat? I love when all the followers are kind of just nearby, like. But if they ascend and then meat drops from the sky, that's fine.
No, it's not. That's totally different. Totally.
I accidentally hit the butcher button. Just a pure accident, and then I was like reading someone's mind, and it was like they butchered my friend. It was disgusting. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
All right, brainwash time.
Yep, time to take those drugs.
I had someone who had like. Sorry, go ahead, Ben.
No, I was gonna say like there's times where I was really short on gold, and I brainwashed them and made them and forced them to give me money, and then of course that's the ritual where it's like, hey, their faith like drops down. But since they were high on drugs, it's like, cool, give me all the money then. And they just gave me so much money. It's like, yeah.
So the first follower I married was because I had a long follower quest chain where like a follower was like, I'm really into this other follower. Will you go get this thing so I can woo them? And I went and got it. And then I came back and they're like, oh, that didn't work. Can you actually make this so I can woo them? And then I did it. And then they were like, they're actually in love with you. Will you marry them?
Hell yeah.
I was like, okay.
If that's what you want, sure. Okay. I'm not going to say no.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pulse of the Lamb, it's definitely one of those games where, I mean, there are some issues with it, but the pros far outweigh the cons.
By a mile.
And it's a perfect length too. Like I beat it, and like you can play it a lot longer if you want to, but like it is a perfect
if you really want to customize a lot. Yeah,
like to unlock all of the decorations and stuff. Like I unlocked almost everything, and I was about like 15 hours when I beat it.
Yeah.
Because I really wanted the cool, like I love putting stones all over my, like making like it is like Animal Crossing, but like demented. And I was like, I love making my little cult look good.
It's such a well executed like cute but horrifying
Yeah.
line of stuff, and I
Happy tree
really
friends.
enjoy it.
I
Like it's
think I
really funny.
definitely-
Like I was playing it around friends of ours. I was playing it around Pepper, who now has the game because of me. And I would be describing things as I was showing them to Pepper, and like people who weren't looking at the game were like, "This sounds really messed up." And then you look at it, and it's like, no, but it's like in a fun way.
Yeah.
I definitely mentioned that in my review on Fusion, where it's like it's adorable, but also it can get really disturbing really quick.
First, it was fun. Then it was scary. But then it was spooky, but like in a fun way.
Yeah, that's so
just-
good.
Man,
Animal Crossing Midsommar. Yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Let me see real quick. I Cult of the Lamb is pretty much the only thing I seriously played in this time between. But I do want to just touch on, there was some Fortnite. There was some Dragon Ball characters in Fortnite.
There was.
That was a really great time.
That was a great time. Kamehamehas
And everything. Really happy about Fortnite. This is how long it's been since we did this. I got to play a little bit of Shredder's Revenge. You guys had just played that the last time, but I have also played it.
Oh, it's
I
been a
look
whole
forward-
quarterly.
I know, right? But I picked it up pretty much exactly right after our last quarterly, and I played it, and it was fun, and I had a good time, and I look forward to playing it with you more.
Oh, yeah.
I have nothing really new to add to the conversation of what you guys said,
It's a good beat
but
'em
I
up.
had a good time with it, and I
Hey,
picked it up because you guys were like, yeah, it was really good, and I'm like, well, if it's really good, I'm gonna go get it.
My God.
And also, Fanny and I actually beat the story mode of Shredder's Revenge recently. So that was, we beat the actual story mode, and that was really fun. And it's still a great beat 'em up. Have a great time with it.
Yeah, I think I only have one. I think I only have one spot to go to left in the story,
Okay.
where I left it, and then I started playing Cult of the Lamb.
Meh.
The only other thing I want to mention, because I talked about it on the Figner podcast, but this is our quarterly, and I want to talk about it here because this game is now out. I think yes. Dragon Ball: The Breakers. I played the beta.
Oof.
It was a oof doozy.
The reviews are out. Boy, howdy.
Yeah.
That's the Dead by Daylight one, right?
Is
Yep.
the
Dead by Dragon Ball.
Daylight
Dead by
type
Dragon Ball.
the 7v1 of 8v1
7v1
of Dragon Ball. I gotta tell you guys, it's a real, like, I think that there's something to be said for like having a creative idea and innovating and doing something new with Dragon Ball, and like I give them props for like thinking about this and wanting to do something so out there and different, but the execution is just rough, largely because it just wasn't willing to like seriously change its gameplay from being the team that makes Xenoverse, and when you're the villain you just hurt people. It's just too easy. It's a bummer, guys. I wish there was something more to be said that was cool. I wish there was some way to execute on like what the trailers marketed, which is that sense of like that first time that Imperfect Cell shows up and it's really scary for all the people and you're like, oh, I wouldn't mind playing that kind of tension. But the reality is that like once you're caught by this like absolutely unstoppable foe by your standards, you're just kind of done.
I watched IGN's review. I think they gave it like a 4 or a 5 out of 10. It reminds me more of Evolve than it does Dead by Daylight because
I think that's very accurate.
you are evolving your villain over time. You're like whether it's Cell to Perfect Cell or Frieza.
Same problem too.
Yeah. Watching the reviews and seeing enough gameplay just from this morning, it looks janky as shit.
Yeah.
Like it just looks like the way your character moves, the way that they eventually can fly, the way it just seems like badly designed in every way.
And I go back to like there's just no good way for communication between players unless you are all on a chat together
On Discording.
outside of the game. And so like sure, if us and 4-5 of our friends all wanted to play together, that would be fun. I think that could be pretty entertaining. We could have a good time playing against each other and doing that and rotating out our villain. But we would all have to own this game. And we would all have to be willing to set aside the time at the same schedule to do it.
$40.
And otherwise, like, I don't know. I don't really want to play this game with strangers. It wasn't very fun when I did it. And granted, I only played the beta, but like
It didn't change much.
It didn't encourage me. It
Yeah.
didn't encourage me.
So it's 7v1. You're regular humans. You cannot fight Frieza. You can like or the villains, you can stun them. Like there are stun moves. There's also like a cute like one of the girls does like a cute and like stuns Frieza with like charming moves or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's like cute and all. And there's a really good idea here. It's just
Yes.
like the execution on everything.
They did announce like a season 2 featuring Grade 8 Vegeta,
It's not
and the
bad.
only thing I'll say about that is I'm like, that doesn't feel like that'll simplify the problem whatsoever. Grade 8 Vegeta, if I'm
Oh my
going
God.
off of,
You could buy. They give you a little cell. Do you see the little cell figure?
dude, I gotta tell you, like, if I liked the game, I was gonna get that because I'm like that little cell shell statue. I was like, that'd be such a cool collectible. I would definitely get it.
Look at that.
Yeah, I think
cool.
that's really cool. But I just don't really want this game. I wish I did. I wish I did so bad.
There's a somebody I follow online on Twitter. She posted a video that's gone viral now of her playing the tutorial of this game, and it starts off with like, "All right, here's a gun," and it's just like, "Here's how you shoot your enemies," and it's just like you're giving a digital gun in this Dragon Ball Z game, playing like a no-name civilian, and it's like, "All right, point your gun at the target," and it's just like she started just busting out laughing because like, what is this game?
Yeah.
What is this nonsense? Very unfortunate.
And the only other note I was gonna say is like the Grade 8 Vegeta thing. Like, I feel like it will only compound the problems with
A
this
bigger
game.
character is not going to be better.
I base that off the fact that all this is built in the same engine as Xenoverse, and I've played against and as the Grade 8 characters
Same.
in Xenoverse, and
It's not great.
they dominate the territory. So normal people are going to get just thrashed by a Grade 8 that can just go wherever they want, even quicker.
Great.
Even quicker, because that's the problem, is like the villains can get on you like that.
Yep.
Which makes sense. It does make sense. That is how it would go.
Yeah,
it's
they're
just
flying.
not fun to play.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe in 2 years it'll get a crazy update. It'll
Yeah,
get
that's the thing is like, you
I
know, with
doubt
these
it.
kinds of Dragon Ball games, I think it'll just get abandoned.
Yeah, 100%.
I think it's
Yeah.
going to have, I think in a matter of 6 months, it'll be like cobwebs on those multiplayer maps, and nobody will be playing it, and engagement will be down, and they'll just close the servers.
Good thing. It is unfortunate that, like, I never want a game to be bad, but, like, again, this isn't a full price $70 game.
For sure.
It is a budget game, so, like, I forgive it a little bit, but not that much.
It's very much like, I like the Xenoverse games.
Yeah.
A different team should have made this. This should not have been built in the Xenoverse
I'll tell you what,
engine. It's just not designed for that. Someone who actually could design a way for there to be a dynamic between them. Like, there is no sense of cat and mouse energy.
Yeah. So we're not going to talk about it on this quarterly, but a bunch of Silent Hill shit that's got announced, and
Yes.
one of them was a new multiplayer survival game being developed by the Dead by Daylight people who have Pyramid Head in their game.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't expect. They're called Behavior Studios. I don't expect Behavior to make the Dragon Ball Z game.
Right.
But you definitely want a studio who is in that pedigree to make a game like this instead of just have your action team try to make a survival game.
Right.
This is what happened with Metal Gear Survive, the worst Metal Gear game to ever be put out.
Mhm.
And I'm like, oh, no, no.
Yeah.
It's a bummer.
Anyway, that's all I have to say about
Breakers.
what I played in this quarter.
The Breakers.
Yeah, pretty much the only other game I played besides Shredder's Revenge for a hot second and Cult of the Lamb was Elden Ring.
Word.
And we will talk a lot about Elden Ring later.
I feel like if you're fans of us,
you know.
you've heard us talk about it all year.
Yeah, but we'll do
Yeah.
a big game.
No, yeah, and we'll definitely get you just a couple more hours in.
Just a little bit.
Just a little.
Just a little nugget.
1% is a whole game
I'm
in other
gonna
games.
be like a little baby. Like, I spent like 27 hours in Elden Ring.
Still in the first zone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm outside the first zone. Barely, but I am.
Listen, it counts. So what's next on the agenda? Is it trailer time?
I guess it's trailer time. Unless,
All right.
It's trailer time.
yeah.
Well,
Okay.
guys, so this is the quarterly. We talk about the things that come out in the last 3 months. These games that we're going to talk about before we talk about later stuff, because there's a couple newer trailers. These are all games that are coming out in the next 3 to 4 months. And with timing, this game that we're going to talk about right now for just a little bit, Gotham Knights, comes out tomorrow as of this recording.
Yeah.
Reviews are out. GameSpot gave it a 4 out of 10.
Yeah, it's rough. That's really sad to see.
Yeah, it's getting bad reviews. They're not just saying it's a totally lackluster Arkham game. It is very much a games as a service game without it actually being a multiplayer Avengers type game. It's This is, I couldn't imagine this. It's a worse version of the Avengers. It's not, it's a single player, bad multiplayer Avengers. Because at least the Avengers has that great campaign. Apparently this doesn't even have that. This is, and I'm like, shit, man. Shit. I was so
You were
hyped.
really hoping.
I was really hoping. And I see that
that
$70 price tag. I'm like, oh.
And this was the Court of Owls that you're going against, and like
I got the tattoo, man.
It's a big bummer. There was so much. I think we started getting progressively more nervous as more came out about the game, just because things were looking a little spotty and shoddy.
Yeah.
But it's really disappointing to see the reviews come out, and it's like, yeah.
And I wanted to believe. I wanted to give it a chance because the guys who made this, WB Montreal, made Arkham Origins, and that is, I think, a undeserved maligned game.
Yes, I agree.
That is because it's not the Arkham, the Arkham trilogy. People hate that game. It is not the best Arkham game, but it is a good game.
It is
a good ass game.
A
Especially
great campaign
and a story. It's my favorite of the storylines. Spoilers. I think it's great.
Yeah.
So it just bums me out that they weren't able to. They were given the shot to become a AAA studio and take it over, and it didn't work out.
Yeah.
Whether it's behind the scenes stuff because they've turned it into a games as a service thing, we know that next month they're adding a 4-player raid event, very much something that happens in Destiny and Avengers. Mm-hmm. So that makes me excited that they're keeping with the game. But if the core game itself is bad, it's not going to make me want to buy it or stick with it. Again, 2 years, who knows? Maybe this game will be better. They'll add new characters and shit. But like. It looks like we got another Avengers. Unfortunately,
it's something really that bums me out because I was really looking forward to this hitting and like doing stream with you for this one, and I'm like, I just don't know.
Look at that. I want to be Nightwing so bad.
I just don't know that would be valuable at this point.
Yeah, pre-order now and you get a yellow bat cycle. Sorry, dog. No bat cycle for me this week. Who knows? Maybe maybe in the future it'll shake out, but not today. Ben, speaking of things that will shake out.
Wait, Ben, did you have anything more to say about Gotham?
Sorry.
I'm not gonna play it.
Yeah, that's fair. You know what you are gonna play though?
Probably this one.
Bling bling bling.
Sonic Frontiers, which comes out. Oh, I had it right here. Comes out
November 8th.
November 8th, one day before God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah, okay.
The Mad Lads.
My God. So the game I was mentioning earlier, and I could see on our little thing, that's God of War is the next trailer after this one. Yeah. Okay. I know we've been talking crap about the trailers earlier, but there have been a few more trailers that's like, okay, that have improved my feeling.
I've been a little more positive, but I'm starting to feel like Gotham Knights situation where I'm like, maybe my positivity is not going to work out.
I want this game to be good, but this is definitely a game I'm going to wait for reviews for, and I'm going to watch some videos to see if I want to commit to the purchasing. Unlike the game we're going to talk about next, which is I'm definitely going to be playing my $70 to pre-order because I want to play that game because that game comes out during my vacation and I want to play it when I don't have to worry about work.
If they're showing Supersonic this early, this means you have to get Supersonic relatively early, right? If they're showing this already.
Yeah, and Supersonic, I mean, yeah, you get Supersonic in a lot of games.
I'm not entirely convinced that isn't just the final boss and like that's it.
No way, they couldn't do that.
I said I'm just saying
I'm not the final boss.
I'm not entirely convinced. Sonic. Go ahead, Ben.
I want this to be good. I want Sonic games to be good, but nah. I'm just gonna wait for trailers. I've heard some people who have played the game early say it is pretty good. It is fun to run around.
You mean you're gonna wait for reviews?
Yes, I'm gonna wait for reviews.
Yeah.
I'm not getting this game day one.
Yeah. Honestly, like the most exciting thing I've seen is the Monster Hunter crossover, where you can wear our outfit on Sonic from Monster Hunter, and I'm like, well, that's just kind of cool. My thing is that like we talked about how empty and sandboxy the open world feels.
It feels like Unreal Engine like graphics put into this other world.
I still feel that way, despite things that they have tried to put out to try and mitigate that discussion from early on. I think that is still what we're seeing, is that it is like that, and it mostly feels like it's just like that so that you can have big enemies. And they just didn't fill out the world around them because they just cared about having the scale of these massive opponents.
Yeah. I want to have faith in a big open world Sonic game because this is like kind of like a Pokemon game, like the dream. Oh, a big beautiful open world RPG, right? That's the dream, and we are getting that in a Pokemon game. I'm gonna say, like, you know, this just doesn't feel as appealing as the original Sonic Adventure
Just saying.
Mhm.
And Sonic Adventure allowed you to like explore the world around between levels, and that was pretty good.
was.
And this doesn't feel as full of character.
No, but you know what does feel full of character? PlayStation.
Yeah.
So yeah, one day after Sonic Frontiers comes out, probably, maybe the best game of the year. Elden Ring's it's gonna have to be real good to fight Elden Ring. But in my opinion, the only contender, really, I think.
Would you find it fair? I don't want to say that Elden Ring doesn't have a narrative, because that's inaccurate. But do you think it could be the best narrative-driven game?
Oh, sure.
Of the year?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Like, all of FromSoft's games, the Dark Souls developer, all of their games don't have a traditional narrative story that you're used to. That doesn't mean that there isn't story in their games. And there are definitely people who write off FromSoft games because they don't have a quote-unquote story.
Yeah.
So this will be a lot of people's game of the year just by that fact alone, because it is doing more with story.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of gameplay, Elden Ring is going to be really hard to top.
Yes,
Because this looks great. Like, now that this new trailer is out, it looks incredible. The gameplay does look tweaked. It looks better. Like, it's still not a full-on sequel. It is using assets from the previous generation, which is fine.
I'm so ready to put this on that stupid big TV.
Oh my god,
downstairs.
yeah, dude. Like, that big F off TV, holy shit. This game looks incredible. And it is the end. Go ahead, Ben. It is the end of the saga, so it is going to be big and fulfilling.
Of the Norse saga.
Of the Norse saga.
Not the end of God of War games.
No, never.
Obviously.
Ever since we saw this trailer for the showcase, ever since we knew that when they confirmed, it's like, no, this is coming out at the end of this.
None
year.
of us believed it.
No, we never believed it, and
Love it.
And yeah, I'm going to be pre-ordering this game. I'm hoping that I can pick this up at like 9 p.m. the day before, so I can play a little bit of it before the actual.
Ben? Are you going to pre-order a physical copy?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. You know that there's still no pre-orders of physical copies come with the actual disc, right?
What?
Yeah, we talked about this on the
What's with the
podcast.
special
No,
edition?
that was
for
the
the
special
special
edition.
edition.
No, yeah, you can still get the regular ass game.
No, I'm not getting the special edition. I'm getting like the regular, just like the bland one.
Talk about, I know we talked about it, but like $100 editions of games that don't come with the game, y'all should be murdered. That's bullshit.
Yeah.
God.
It doesn't come with a game disc. That's bullshit.
That's crazy.
Yeah, because God of War, as much as I would love a steelbook of this, I'm fine without having a steelbook for God of War, but I am going to switch the cover because it's going to have a reversible cover.
Real quick, but I never noticed before, but Atreus, because he could summon like wolves and shit in the last game, he was riding on top of a giant deer.
Too, yeah.
And I'm like, ah! yeah, baby.
That was cool.
Okay.
Yeah, God of War, this is one of my most anticipated games. This is definitely, once I play this is definitely going to give Elden Ring a run for its money in my game of the year.
Yeah, it's judging off of the games we have left to talk about, there's a lot of great games to look forward to, but like this is the one where I'm like, all right, this is finally somebody, a contender for the crown.
Yeah.
Speaking of crowns, y'all, I'm beyond stoked for this Pokemon game coming out November, I think the 22nd, I believe.
Nope, November 18th.
November 18th, even better.
Yeah, this is the other game I was talking about, how this is coming out at the tail end of my vacation,
Hell
and
yeah.
I am definitely going to buy it. This is the other game. That's why I want a big God of War, so I can put all my effort into some Pokemon afterwards.
Yeah, we have gotten a couple open world 3D Pokemon games over the last couple years, but like this one, Scarlet and Violet, really it feels like we finally are getting a next gen Pokemon. Because I thought we were getting that with Arceus. Is that what it's called? Arceus? And that one apparently wasn't as hot. This game, it's got the multiplayer. It's got all the Pokemon out in the world. You can fly. You can ride on all of them. They're all homies. They're all hanging out behind you. It's a big, beautiful world. Like this really is the Pokemon game of my dreams. And if it's bad, we're gonna have issues. We're gonna have issues.
Yeah, we are gonna have issues, but also some of the things that I like, because we're watching footage of you riding the legendary Pokemon that graces the cover. Normally, those aren't until like Gym 7.
You
where
get that
fight
shit
them.
early.
Yeah, you get the legendary Pokemon early, so it's like, this is interesting. This is a new way to do Pokemon, where it's like, hey, you don't have to, the legendary is not this grand thing you have to fight right before you take down leader 7 and 8 for your gym badges. It's just, no, here's a legendary Pokemon that you can use to ride around the Paldea region. Have fun.
Just like the newest Zelda, also all of the gyms not in order. You can go to any gym. This is man. I'm so stoked for this game because you can literally go to the quote unquote final gym if you want to, in where it would be on the map or whatever. And like that is like open world to the extreme. That's what I want. And like to have all the levels like level with you, so you can go wherever you want, do that stuff. Like I forget what it's called. They do it in Assassin's Creed. Like it levels with you, so you can go anywhere for like real open world RPG stuff.
Did they actually confirm level scaling?
It's level scaling. I don't know if they confirmed it, but that's the only way that this game would work.
I heard, I don't know where I heard it from. I said there wasn't going to be, but that could have been
rumor. There might not be, but like it's really hard to make a game like this. And like you can't go, then you can't go anywhere. Because if you can't go to that zone, you'll just die. Like it's not.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I'm gonna go to the era. I'm gonna go to an era where there's a bunch of snow Pokemon. It's like, how come all the snow Pokemon are level 60 and I have a level 5 Fuecoco?
Unless it's they're actually lying and they're like, oh, you can go to the 8th gym, but
You'll
it is
just get your ass kicked.
You'll get your ass kicked.
Yeah.
Then in that case, I guess that's fine. But that doesn't do the thing they're saying of you can go to any gym whenever you want. You know what I mean? So like that's going to be the most interesting aspect to me. Mm-hmm. Not going on a level by level, like you have to go down the path they set for you.
Yeah, because one of the things they said, hey, you can go anywhere you want. I was like, yeah, let me go down, let me go explore and do whatever I want.
Yeah.
Because I can't tell you, when I was a kid, I accidentally went to the Elite Four, and they were like, hey, you have to go fight the other gym leaders. It's like, no, but I want to go up there. Now I can.
Let me learn a lesson. Let me die.
Yeah. And then watch it. And I do enjoy the new forms. I'm definitely going to be a Fuecoco starter, just saying.
I love them all. This one's going to be tough. I really like all these guys. Look at his hair. Look at his hair.
I'm probably going to be Quaxley.
Quaxley's got such a head on him. I love it. And the thing, up to 4 people. You can play with this with 3 friends. 4-player, complete campaign co-op with a friend. Are you kidding me?
That's pretty cool.
I can't believe it. There's you can take pictures with your friends. I love photo ops.
Fun. That'd be a fun thing for us to do.
Yeah, this is the dream, 100%.
Well, Pokemon Adventure. It's like Elden Ring, but nicer.
Yeah, less stressful.
Less sad.
Yeah, less sad, less stressful. Oh my god, look, we got 4 people riding around on motorcycle monsters.
Man, all these rare legendary Pokemon. This is wild.
Damn, this ain't so rare, I guess. One of my favorite things, and my final thought is, I love that the Pokemon games have done the thing where like you can have your main Pokemon be behind you as like a companion. Like Pikachu did that. The very original Pikachu game for the Game Boy did that.
Pokemon Yellow was the first one to have Pikachu follow you, and then they brought it back in Soul Silver, Heart Gold, where it could be any Pokemon, and then Let's Go Eevee, Let's Go Pikachu also brought it back again.
I love that, because then like you can have, hey, this is my best friend. Also, like if you don't want to ride that motorcycle monster, you can fly to any other one. You can ride on any other one. Just you can still do all the stuff with your regular Pokemon if you want. It just looks like, I love when RPGs just give you the breadth to do what you want. And not every RPG needs to do that. It needs to be so open-ended. But Pokemon has always been pretty rigid in that case. So the fact that it is more open-ended like a new Zelda is really, really exciting to me.
I like the chandelier heads for everyone.
Yeah, I like the new crystal thing that they're doing right now. Oh my god, Eevee is
my god. Their big-ass heads.
Look at them all being shiny and shit.
Love it. Yeah.
Oh, Eevee can have multiple. Okay.
Oh, every game, new Eevee. You get an Eevee and you get an Eevee.
Oh yeah, I don't know if it's true, but I heard the new Eevee evolution was Olympion, where it's a flying type.
Oh yeah, he hasn't had
in the ears of the wings.
Oh, he's Dumbo.
Essentially, yeah.
I'm into that.
So, I want to say that there's a new Paldean form for Gardevoir, but I could be wrong.
God of War.
Shush.
We did see a new Wooper, so I'm sure there's definitely some evidence.
There's probably some news, but yeah, Pokemon. I'm excited. I'm ready.
Hell yeah!
Put that in my veins.
Speaking of putting it into your veins, let's get spooky. Callisto Protocol.
Ben's most anticipated game for next Spooktober.
Hell yeah! This is from the developers of the original Dead Space. It's very clearly a Dead Space like spiritual successor doing its own thing while being in the vein of Dead Space. You played Dead Space for about an hour.
I did.
Horrifying game. This looks just as horrifying.
Yeah.
Beautiful Josh Duhamel.
I think we should have Ben actually play through this entire one and then just release it in the spooky season next year.
We can do that, absolutely. You know what? We'll see, because there unfortunately for Ben, there are 2 games like this coming out. Callisto Protocol is the first one. This comes out the beginning of December. Yeah, looks very spooky. I'm very much in. Oh yeah, Karen Fukunaga from The Boys is in it. She's
That's
great.
so cool.
Yeah, big actors, big effects, big gore.
Ben, you want this?
Oh my god, it looks so good. Oh, moving on to something that we can all enjoy.
Ben's silence for the audio listeners is approval that he does in fact want this.
It makes me uncomfortable.
He loves horror. Stephen King's best friend. You know who Stephen King loves? The Midnight Suns. Y'all, this game got delayed to like October, and then it got delayed to next year, and then it got relayed to December. And now this is coming out the beginning of December. And this is my most anticipated game. I know it's not going to be like, quote unquote better than like a God of War or Elden Ring, but in terms of what this game is, Midnight Suns is my most anticipated game because it is one, a strategy game. You don't get many Marvel strategy games. Two, it's a role-playing game. And three, it's a house building simulator where you can hang out with friends and customize and take pictures with all the Avengers.
I'm really excited about this.
I am stupid excited for this. They just did a Deadpool teaser where Deadpool might be in the game, and I don't care about Deadpool, but him showing up would be fun. I'm just curious, like how are you guys feeling about this? Because this isn't a traditional game. I know, friend of the show Brandon, this isn't exactly up his alley. It's a little more strategic, a little slow, which I understand. But how are you guys feeling about it?
I'm really stoked for this.
I'm getting there on my at first I was like, oh hell yeah, I want this, but then I found it when I heard that it was a deck building strategy card game. Sometimes deck building and strategy card games are definitely not my cup of tea. The one that I've definitely played, but of course I will also add a caveat to that because I was younger and I wasn't into card games then as I am now, was Metal Gear Acid for the PSP.
Yeah, hell yeah, man.
So now that I'm older and I can understand the card mechanics a little bit more, I understand deck building a little bit more, and I know what my play style is, I'm willing to give this one a shot. This does look good. I am interested in how it's a strategy, but it's kind of like a tactics game, but it's not a tactics game in a way. And you also have like different cards with different effects. So you also get that like, oh, I need to build my deck better to make my team better, and this is the way I want to play it. So I'm looking forward to it. I think this one I will wait for some reviews, but if Ryan, you say this is Ben, you should play this game. This is really fun. This is definitely something you want to do. Then I'll be like, okay, I'll invest in this. If I'll go ahead and start playing it.
Ben, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to buy this game no matter what. Because look, you could have a scene where you just read with Blade nigh a fireplace. Look at this. So stupid.
Yeah, this is my second most anticipated game of the year, right behind God of War.
I love it. I love it just because one, again, I like Marvel, I like strategy, but so many of the more quote unquote obscure, even though Blade, people know Blade, he doesn't show up a lot in video game stuff as often because I don't even know last time he was on maybe except Blade for the PS2 for the Guillermo del Toro game or whatever.
Isn't he in one of the Ultimate Alliances?
He's in 3. He's in 3. He's not in 1 or 2 for sure. He was in an expansion for 3 with the Midnight Suns, actually. The thing that I'm really excited about this game is yes, the RPG stuff, and we're like,
he's in Fortnite.
He is in Fortnite. Who isn't in Fortnite? These day and age. I'm really excited because the RPG aspect of it, it's very much like the Persona games, or maybe Fire Emblem, because I'm not caught up on the more modern games where you can build relationships with characters, but you cannot build relationships with every character because the game is done by like days. Like you do stuff, you can only do so much thing in a day, right? So you can hang out with Blade, Captain America, Iron Man, Nico, any of these characters, but you can't hang out with all of them. So do you want to become best friends with Blade and unlock his abilities, or do you want to become best friends with somebody else? And every character has a very different play style. Blade, he's very much about getting in there, cutting and bleeding. You have characters like the Scarlet Witch, who's very much about pushing people out and using her magic to do area of effect damage. Captain America is more of a defensive guy with a shield. So everyone has a role, like an RPG role, and you can customize them to make them better and stronger in whatever aspect you want. You can make Captain America more of an offensive character, or you can make him more of a shield character. Again, it's all about building the character you want, and that is just, I'm just so excited. Not to mention, I'm a big fan of customizing skins. They have so many skins from the comic books in this game, plus their own original skins, and they all look dope. They have comic book people working on this game for the story, so them doing the actual Midnight Sun storyline with Lilith, the mother of demons, having all these characters here. Morbius, where are you at? It's okay, whatever. Having all these Midnight Suns characters show up is really great. I am beyond stoked for this. I was really scared this game was going to get delayed and canceled, but you know what? We made it, baby. Here we are.
Guys, it's coming out sooner than you think.
It's coming out sooner than any of us thought. Ben, I forgot about this one until you mentioned Final Fantasy stuff. Crisis Core, Final Fantasy VII Reunion.
Yeah, now this one was something that was very, very happy to see because this was a PSP exclusive. It's a prequel to Final Fantasy VII, and it's actually regarded as one of the better Final Fantasy spin-offs that was made. I mean, there is a fan base for Dirge of Cerberus. I'm not going to deny that, but if you put this next to Dirge of Cerberus, people are going to go to Crisis Core immediately. And this is coming out on PS5. I think this is definitely a good thing for the celebration of Final Fantasy VII's 25th anniversary. Yikes! Not yikes that it's the anniversary. Yikes is
old.
It's been 25 years since Final Fantasy VII first came out.
Yeah.
I unfortunately never got to enjoy this game on the PSP. As you all know, my PSP was lost to time because my brother would use it as workaround to go on MySpace back in the day when my parents barred him from the computer. And I was bummed that I never got to enjoy this game, and now I get to enjoy this game in beautiful, stunning HD. This is a PS5 game that I cannot wait to get.
Yes, I started to replay where I was at in Final Fantasy VII so I can beat it. So I can, when this comes out in a couple months, I can play this game because, yeah, this is a PSP game and I never had a PSP. So there's a big chunk of the story that I'm missing. And I gotta know, who's Zack? What's he about? Why is Aerith all over him? What's up with that about? What about Sephiroth? What's that about?
Now, this is so I want to understand. This story is remaining, this version that they're releasing is remaining in canon to the original.
Yeah.
Not the remake.
Oh, no, sorry. No, this is doing what Final Fantasy VII Remake did. This is bringing that game into this new... They're doing what they did with Final Fantasy
Okay,
VII.
So it's canon to the remake, not canon to 7.
Yes.
Got it.
But those games are also canon because of timeline stuff like Evangelion.
So like because this is a prequel, nothing changed in the timeline yet.
Yeah, it is. It'll be this will be a prequel.
Because things change in the remake, but nothing changes here.
This will be the prequel to the game we just got. So whatever changes will happen, we have yet to see.
Yeah.
But just like FF7 Remake, it will be a remake modernization of that story to fit in line with this new one. I don't know how much they will change.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was asking, is if that was known, because I'm like, is it literally going to be one for one the same story as the original, or is it going to also have some maybe twists and turns that will affect the future of the remake?
It will definitely have twists and turns because it looks like, especially with what we know, the next Final Fantasy VII Remake, what is it? Reunion? Is that what it has been?
Rebirth.
I have a feeling that they will tweak some stuff in this prequel so it matches the overall story.
See, because I was going to say, I suspect that there are going to be changes from the original Crisis Core story for this because of the announcement of the Ever Crisis, where this is included in the story of the Ever Crisis.
Yeah.
The original is.
Yeah.
So I think that that's where you're supposed to go to get your original version of events, and this will be a new version.
Yeah, they're two timelines, basically. Yeah, the HD timeline, regular timeline, and we're getting both.
Yeah, I mean, still, Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core, a lot of people were like, hey, let's bring Crisis Core to modern consoles. They are now, and I'm excited. This is going to be a fun game to play.
Hell yeah, baby. Hell yeah. I just want to briefly talk about this one because I'm excited but worried about it. It's called Forspoken, and this comes out January 24th, almost near my birthday. Forspoken is an open world isekai. Is that how you pronounce it? Isekai? Isekai. You are a cool lady from New York and you get transported to a fantasy world. This game is getting shit on incredibly for its writing. The writing, we got a trailer with some truly abysmal writing. Like, wait, so you're telling me I'm in a magical world fighting dragons? This is crazy. Like, really bad, like, Weed-esque dialogue. But besides that, I think the gameplay and the world look insane. The fidelity is so, look how good this fire looks.
It looks cool.
The elemental stuff that you're doing in this game looks insane. I think the gameplay looks wicked wild. The only thing I'm worried about is that it's like, it feels like an old school RPG where it's just like a big open world and there's not a lot to do. And you're just going from town to town doing random quests.
It'll be interesting to see how this plays out.
Yes.
When does this come out again?
January 24th.
That's what I thought.
So yeah, I think this game looks visually like arresting. Like it looks so cool.
Yeah.
Like some of like the most impressive particle effects that we've ever seen in a game. Will everything surround it work? I have yet to be seen. But I'm really excited. I want to believe.
Yeah. I'm very curious to start to see the reviews roll out on this one.
1 month, Ben, after the Callisto Protocol, the Dead Space remake comes out. Holy shit. They have released, so both Callisto and Dead Space have now released like 10-minute gameplay videos of what this game looks like. Motive, creators of the new Dead Space, working on the next Iron Man game. And if this game looks this good, I cannot wait to see what their Iron Man looks like with a bigger budget. Because holy shit, this game looks great.
That Iron Man's gonna look really good.
Yeah. So yeah, Sparks, you played an hour of Dead Space. This looks like Dead Space, just
Yes.
really good.
Yes.
Like you don't need to change that game. That game is still modern enough where you don't need to change like the gameplay.
Yeah.
You just need to tweak how it looks.
Yeah.
And holy shit, does this look insane?
Yeah, it looks
Oh my
very,
God.
very good.
I do love it when studios take like side by sides of like what the original looked like and what the new one looks like, because I'm like, yeah,
This is just
that's
Iron Man. We're just watching Iron Man footage right now. Y'all look at this. This is just Iron Man.
I mean,
Ben's stoked. He's ready to play.
I am mentally preparing myself to get scared out of my mind with this one and the Callisto Protocol.
Hell yeah.
But I know you guys are gonna be like, hey Ben, let's play Dead Space. I'm like,
Well, I don't know if we'll put you through both.
We'll put you through one.
Definitely Callisto for sure, because that's the more
we'll put
original.
you through one the whole way through,
Yeah.
and we'll put you through 1 hour of the other.
The most interesting thing about this game is it is a full on 100% remake. And it is still like we've seen like the opening cutscene, like it is a shot for shot remake of that. They are adding significantly more 0G stuff, because the original game there were sections where it was 0G and it was puzzle solving, but only in sections. It appears they're adding considerably more 0G to make it a little
Right.
spookier. So you're flying in space more, things are coming at you more. I think that's beautiful. I think it's great. The 0G stuff worked really well in the original games.
That's really awesome.
So like they're doing it. It looks like they're doing it. It looks hella spooky.
It'll be great because we can put Ben's first hour of this side by side with my first hour.
Oh my god, yeah.
oh yeah.
Damn, this game looks. Looking on it on like the YouTube screen, this game looks insane. All right, so we just have 2 more trailers, and these are games that are not coming out for a while.
Nope. But
Oh!
the first one is the one I am super excited for because I have been looking forward to this game ever since. Its
Yeah,
announcement.
this came out this morning.
This, yeah,
It
came out this morning.
And
And
I am super excited. It's
this-
Final Fantasy 16.
This trailer got me so hyped I can't even explain it.
Mm-hmm.
Like this, like I hate to. Not everything needs to be comparisons, and like this is not a franchise that has done this a lot. But I really did get Game of Thrones vibes from this one.
Mhm.
Like it feels more like this is going to be like different kingdoms vying for power. It's 1500 years after a big cataclysm or whatever, and it's different kingdoms vying for power. It looks I keep bringing up fidelity with the PS5, but like the fidelity looks insane. The graphics look so good.
Yeah.
So yeah, what I love about Final Fantasy, because as a franchise, Final Fantasy, of course, they take different turns, they do different things. Like 15 was a more modern setting, but you still had swords, magic. This one is definitely like a true air quotes fantasy setting where you're with kings, knights. It's essentially
Look at
my
that
jam.
Targaryen right there.
Yeah, like when you say Final Fantasy, this is my jam. And that's one of the reasons why I love 12 so much. Is like, don't get me wrong, 10 is amazing. I really had fun with 7. I haven't played 9 yet, but I was like, oh, Final Fantasy 12, we're going back to like kings, knights, princesses. You have a princess trying to get her kingdom back.
Mhm.
Let's do this. And just seeing even the gameplay for this, because a lot of people have been saying, oh, I miss old Final Fantasy turn-based. I'm like, I want this action stuff. I want to be in the middle of the fight. I love this.
Yeah, and like we got a glimpse of it in the last trailer, but like the scale, like Final
Mhm.
Fantasy, obviously they always have giant summons and stuff, but like the scale of this game seems particularly bigger than the previous ones, because it seems to be about like these actual like these what are they called? They're not summons, like what?
Icons.
Yeah,
They're calling up. So they're calling the summons icons.
yeah, and it's like it seems to be like it is a fight of the icons. It is the fight of the summons.
Yeah,
So
it's
you
power that they bring through the people. Yeah.
yeah, so different kingdoms are going to use their summons almost like kaiju battles.
Yeah.
And like in that previous trailer, it looked like there was giant kaiju battles happening, like a fighting game. And I'm like, man, this game looks like it's doing so much. Oh my god.
And what I love about this is that there's like each kingdom has their own summon. It's a famous Final Fantasy summon, because I want to say the first trailer had Shiva fighting, and then someone turns into Ifrit, the
Mhm.
fire summon.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they just go at it, and it looks like you can use your own icon powers. And just looking at this,
It's like a
combat,
fighting game.
It's so fluid, but at the same time, you still get those JRPG elements to it, and you have to
at
actually watch
this.
attack patterns and dodge and do all this stuff. And I love this type of combat, and it does look like it turns into giant kaiju battles with the fighting game. But honestly, I'm all for it. This
Playing-
looks incredible.
Playing
This
FF.
is a
Go ahead.
no, this is to me. This is day one steelbook special edition.
Oh my god, it looks so good.
I want this game so bad.
Playing FF7 Remake again right now, the combat is so good, and what I love about it is you can still make it tactical. You can still pause it. It doesn't pause it. It's like really slow moving, but it is still tactile. You can set up all your moves for all your different characters. So I assume this will also have that, because they're not going to get rid of something that really works. You can have active combat and slow down combat as much as you want.
Not to be reductive of the name, but I feel like this really captures, if you just say like take away the history in a vacuum, like the words Final Fantasy to someone, this is what you picture. It feels like they've really captured that in the imagery of this.
And definitely people, again, like this trailer came out this morning, so I haven't seen the feedback, which I assume is good because this trailer rules. Right. But just from the last trailer's feedback, like this is returning, like you said, Ben, to fantasy. Like I do enjoy when it's, you know, technology versus magic. I like that stuff, but like this really does feel like we're going back to dark fantasy. We're going back to the roots of it all. Like let's just stick with magic this time. Magical kingdoms and shit. Yeah, the scale just seems so big, and because we're on a PS5, only PS5, this isn't a PS4 game, the fidelity and the crispness is so insane.
Look good. It's gonna look good, feel good.
Oh, it's gonna look so good. It's gonna look so good.
Yeah. No release date next year. If I had to guess, it's probably late next year. But that's
summer.
It's at summer.
It did. It said summer 2023.
Okay.
For now.
Okay.
I'm guessing maybe.
I bet push back to holiday.
Probably. I think it does get put back to holiday. I'm not going to be upset about that.
I mean,
I want this.
Video game delays are always good, but I'm just like, I think there is a lot of video games are going to, I think, continue to get pushed back just a bit, just because I think there's a eagerness to want to jump on the market, feeling like there has been a dearth of product being able to be put out, and sometimes these games just aren't ready. That being said, I wouldn't be surprised, because they've held back on this one for a while, that this one might actually be good to go by the summer, especially with how much they show in this trailer.
Yes.
But it also wouldn't shock me if we get a delay to the holiday, if we just decide that's better.
That is a good point. We do see a lot of this trailer. Yeah. There's a lot. It's not just like, oh, they're showing us the opening act. There's like a lot of shit. So like they are probably more done than I would give them credit for. The producer working on this game, who's making this game, is Yoshi P, and he is the guy who has been overseeing Final Fantasy 14, the MMO, for years. And I have not touched that story very much, but from all accounts, like that's the best Final Fantasy story we've had in a long time, and it's the MMO.
Yeah, if you get like 60, 80 hours in.
Yes, but like no joke, there's like 100 hours of cutscenes in that game.
Yeah,
100 hours of cutscenes in that game. And it's all good apparently. So like having him, like people really like this guy as a creator, so having him be like the narrative designer for this game, makes me really excited, because that means that like the gameplay it looks great, but like now like I'm not worried about the story. Not that I was, but like I know the guy behind it, and like that dude's great.
It's not going to be quite as gobbledygook as Kingdom Hearts can be at sometimes.
Yes. Yeah. Gobbledygook. Absolutely. All right. So the final trailer for me, for the section was just announced yesterday. Silent Hill Konami had a big old press conference, and they announced like 5 games. But the only one that I really want to talk about is the remake of Silent Hill 2, which could be argued one of the scariest game ever made, the best horror game ever made. It is truly something to behold. The only thing about it is the game's like 25 years old and looks like shit now. PS1 games, even PS2 games, it happens sometimes. So, like they get old. They're still great games. They don't age as fine wine as like the older games do, like the 8-bit, 16-bit consoles. People are cautious about this game because it's made by Bloober. Now, we've recently played 1 hour of Bloober game. We played Layers of Fear, and that's where Bloober team got famous for making Layers of Fear. I really liked the first Layers of Fear. They made a second one that's not as good. They made the Blair Witch game, which is a totally fine game, totally good, very good Game Pass game. They also made the Medium, which people do not like, and people saying that it has some of the worst representation of mental health they've ever seen in a video game. Silent Hill is a game that deals a lot of that shit. A lot of psychological horror. So people are really worried that this team, who has a reputation of handling mental illness really badly, is going to bring that to this game. The difference is, I think, why I'm less worried is they are remaking a game that's already been made. The Medium is its own thing. They bring their own politics into it. If you're just remaking a game, you don't have to bring your shitty politics into it. You can just make the game that was made. You can make the game better than it was. What we are seeing, like Resident Evil 2 and 3 Remake, visually very appealing. When he goes outside for the first time and you see the spooky Silent Hill town, horrifying. That is what you want this game to look like. You go outside and the fog is there and like the creepy stuff is melting away. I think this game looks incredible. I am so excited for it. I am a little cautious because of the team's past. But Konami, as a developer, has not made a game since Metal Gear Survive, which is one of the worst games ever made. And that was like 5 years ago. There hasn't been a new Silent Hill game in over a decade. And they just announced 5 Silent Hill games and a brand new movie with the original director. God, that is
so exciting.
That is the man. Forget all this stuff. We're getting a new Christoph Gans Silent Hill movie is nuts.
That's insane.
That's the greatest news of all of this stuff. But I'm really excited about Silent Hill 2 because it is so good and it is so traumatizing. It is so scary. And if they can capture the feel of what it is to be in Silent Hill, like those original games do, then they'll have a bona fide success. Because they don't have to change the story. Just do the story again with better voice acting.
Right.
You don't need to change it. People like this game for a reason.
Yeah.
So I'm horribly excited for this game. I'm so excited for this game.
Do you want to briefly touch on the other Silent Hill announcements?
Oh my gosh,
games?
there's a couple original Silent Hill games come out being made by other developers. There is a mobile live interactive game that they didn't release any information on. It's a lot of weird stuff. This is the only foolproof thing that we got that we know is coming soon. The rest were teaser trailers for games we don't know anything about. It is a huge, massive push from Konami, a company that does not care about making video games anymore. They care about gambling and pachinko machines.
Right.
I know you all saw that Evangelion Godzilla shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a gambling machine.
Right.
What world do we live in where
Pachinko.
Pachinko, it's stupid. I hate it.
Mm-hmm.
Konami does not care about games, but like they have franchises people care about. So like this gives me some happiness that like, okay, they're not fully giving up. Silent Hill 2, they're giving it to a team that, despite its past, knows how to make competent horror games.
Right.
And they're giving it to a director who has made a good Silent Hill movie in the past.
Yeah.
So I am filled with hope for Silent Hill right now. In a year, we'll see where that lands us. But right now I am thrilled. Silent Hill 2 is really scary.
Yeah. I've heard people say, "Hey, this looks good," but they're also kind of cautious about the developer. But the fact that Silent Hill 2 is coming back, I know there's a bunch of friends of mine on Twitter who are
this shit is
Silent Hill
so
fans.
spooky, too spooky.
Yeah,
Love
they're
it.
huge Silent Hill fans, and they're just like, "It's back. We're here." They're finally doing it because for the longest time, Konami was just sweeping Silent Hill under the rug. So, I mean,
And
I don't have the only Silent Hill experience I have is with the film Silent Hill,
Yep.
playing against people who are Pyramid Head
in Dead by Daylight.
in Dead by Daylight. So
The thing
this game looks scary as all hell.
The
so
thing that
you go.
gives me a little hope is like I like Silent Hill. It's not my favorite franchise. Konami owns the rights to Metal Gear Solid, which is my favorite video game franchise. So if they're able to make Silent Hill 2 remake and it is a success, then maybe, just maybe, they'll try to remake Metal Gear. Because that has been what everyone wants. That game is also really old. It definitely holds up better than Silent Hill, but it is definitely a 20-year-old game. If this is successful, then maybe Metal Gear can come back, and that's what everyone wants. We just want Metal Gear back. Silent Hill's back. Bring back Metal Gear. And that will be the end of the trailers, Ben. That is the end of the trailer part.
Yeah.
Alrighty. We got a lot of good stuff coming up. We got some stuff a little further away, but God of War and Pokemon, man.
Hell yeah.
That's like day one. I'm so happy that my vacation is happening during those games.
Yeah, that is literally like what a great week for you, bud.
I was gonna say like I'm very pleased that just in general on that last news note that Silent Hill as a franchise is being revisited. I'm glad that we're finally coming back around on that. Mostly because I want to put Ben through it, but I'm just really happy about it.
Yeah. Because Silent Hill is a like legacy video game franchise, and it is such a unique, beautiful, cool idea. Oh yeah, like they did announce Silent Hill F, which is going to be a Silent Hill that takes place in Japan, which is the first time that's happened, which is a really unique idea because Silent Hill is about Japan's view on like Stephen King horror.
Mm-hmm.
So when it's like, well, what if we take our Americanized view of Japanese horror but bring it to Japan, which is a really weird workaround.
Right.
Very exciting. The trailer was just a teaser trailer, but it was really scary and evoking annihilation with plant stuff growing on people.
Mm-hmm.
So like I am really excited for the future of Silent Hill, which is not something I could have said for a solid decade, which is cool.
Yeah. All right.
Already.
I think that's a quarterly.
That's a whole ass
Yeah.
quarterly, baby.
That is definitely a quarterly.
Look at that,
we got-
$230?
There's obviously I'll just touch base. Ben, you could do this too, but I think I have a better grasp on where we're going.
Hold up,
I'll
Sparks. Your mic's been cutting in and out all day. What'd you say?
I will just give us a little note on where we're going with the show, which is just that God of War will be a separate review thing. We'll be doing a pause menu just talking about the God of War game once all 4 of the fake nerds have played through it, because we won't leave Brandon behind on that one. That's one of the few games that Brandon actually like emphatically has to hit. So we will be doing that. There will also be, we've teased it and we'll say it again, there will be an Elden Ring Game of the Year discussion near the end of the year. The 3 of us will do that together because we are going to like really get to talk about Elden Ring. And
Will we do a end of the year quarterly?
Yep, we will be back. Probably either depending because we got a lot of other stuff we do for the shows.
Feels like a January.
We'll see how settled we are.
Yeah.
It'll either be before the new year or just after the new year. It depends because we got to focus on a lot of our other shows. And like I said, I definitely want the Elden Ring Game of the Year discussion out before January, so we'll be focusing on getting that and God of War out. So that'll be our kind of like pause menu quarterly plans. Ben's gonna have plenty of pause menu shows. We're gonna be doing some basement arcades. You can look out for a couple of Spooktobers with Ben. Not a ton this year. Our situation has required us to kind of cut down on what we could do. But now that we are truly settled in this house, Ryan and I have a lot of plans for what we want to do for the shows in general going forward. So we'll just plan better for next year to really put Ben through, I don't know, 12 spooky games? Let's say 12 spooky games. We're going to put Ben through 12 spooky games.
We got to
next
triple
year.
the output.
Yeah.
And if you watch the last quarterly, it didn't look as good as this quarterly does.
Right.
And I bet you the next one will look even better than this because it's always an evolving process, and I always want the show to look better because I watch a lot of YouTube online, right? And I watch a lot of podcasts. And I saw one comment that really stuck with me. And it's like, it was a podcast that went from doing home Zoom things like we do to being in studio again, right? Where they're all hanging out together. And their comment was, boy, howdy, am I happy not to be staring at 4 sets of eyes again. Just 4 eyes in corners, non-moving, just like ugly. And I'm like, I want to make every podcast look as best as I can because there's nothing uglier than just looking at 4 white dudes on a screen with nothing else there. Let me tell you. Let me be honest. Because I don't want to watch that for 4 hours. So I really want the show to look as good as it can. And that's going to be something I'm going to be working on for the future.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, as Spark said, we got a lot of great stuff coming up. I'm excited to bring you more pause menus because oh man, that PRG was so fun. It was so good.
Love
Had
it.
such a good time. But anyways, yeah, that will do it. That's a quarterly. We will be doing another quarterly recording in January, just like Spark said. And yeah, gentlemen, where can people find you on the internet?
Oh, well, you can find me at DJ Tony Snark. How do cameras work? Oh, that's a lie. That's a lie. I'm DJ Tony Snark 616, actually. Don't look at that.
Well, look at that. Look at that. But put a 616 after it.
Here, Sparks, you go.
Okay. You can find me correctly at SparksWitty on Instagram and Twitter. Just trying to finish Cult of the Lamb before I get consumed in the world of Norse mythology.
Yeah. And of course, you can find me at BedMag27 everywhere: Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. I swear I'll be making some more TikToks because I got some games to do retro ramblings about. So look forward to that. Also, I write for Old School Gamer Magazine, Fusion Gaming Magazine, and Go Nintendo, which, of course, I'm going to be writing a lot of stuff for that. Essentially, this upcoming Saturday is just going to be me just writing almost all day.
Hell yeah.
Just getting all my writing stuff done because I have stuff prepared. I have notes written down. I just need to sit down and do it. But timing, that is a thing. And my cat is going crazy right now.
Yeah.
Soupy, what is wrong?
Hell yeah.
But yeah, so... Gentlemen, I think that'll do it, right? And of course, you can catch all 3 of us on the Fake Nerd Podcast. We do that together almost every Sunday. And at the time of this record, because I don't know when this is coming out, but at the time of this recording, we'll be reviewing Black Adam.
That's true.
Yeah. By the time this comes out, we're going to know about the hierarchy and if it changes.
Yeah, that we will. And I have my bets on it, but I'm not going to say what my bet is. So you're going to have to wait and find out.
Place your bets.
Yeah, we'll
right.
we'll be doing that. We got our Halloween ends. Like I said, check out for a couple of Spooktober things before the end of the month, and we'll see you in a few months.
And until then, gentlemen, thank you again for doing this with me, and unpause.